in artificial loss-making positions. The measure is thus intended to limit the practice of indefinite deferral of payment of corporate tax. It should therefore be reinstated. Clause 16. Clause 16 of the bill, which proposes the introduction of the tax on income derived by non-resident persons from provision of digital services in Uganda, was rejected by Parliament. The measure was meant to cater for taxation of digital economy such as Twitter, Amazon, Netflix, etc. The clause related to non-residents and non-residents in Uganda, since it does not relate to residents in Uganda, as was mistakenly stated in the minority report, it should be reinstated. Section 2 was amended to redefine a company by excluding the unit trust from the definition of a company. The deletion of the unit trust from the definition of a company makes it non-taxable. This will create ambiguity in the law. Whereas I am aware, a clause should be incorporated to provide for an extension of 1 year of corporate income tax waiver for Bujagali hydroelectric plant. Have you heard? A clause should be incorporated to provide for an extension of a 1 year corporate income tax waiver for Bujagali hydroelectric plant. Whereas I am aware of an ad hoc committee which Parliament put in place to investigate on Bujagali tax waiver, the waiver of the corporate income tax was one of the provisions that the government put in place to reduce the generation of tariffs payable by Bujagali, hence leading to a reduction of electricity and users' tariff. For example, during the period of 2018-2022, the corporate income tax waiver on Bujagali reduced their tariffs from US cent 13.83% per kilowatt to US cent 10.62 per kilowatt. The reduction in power tariffs has led to industrialization, although they still need to have it lowered further. Therefore, the corporate income tax waiver for Bujagali hydroelectric plant should be reinstated for 1 year as the ad hoc committee and the audit committee does its work. Tax Procedure Code Amendment Bill, that is for income. Tax Procedure Code Amendment Bill 2023. An amendment to Section 38, which was not in the bill, was introduced by Parliament. The amendment provides for order of payment of allocation of rules and has the following implications. Introduction of fees outstanding as at the date of payment in Section 38(1)(a) implies that any payment made by the taxpayer will be applied to outstanding principal tax and removes payment allocation to tax periods by referring it to the principal outstanding as the date of payment. B, the insertion of subsection 3 introduces the concept that any payment made shall be applied to the principal tax first until fully paid. The above provisions are not only unnecessary, but will also create difficulties in the tax administration. The emphasis of the payment of the principal tax first as the date of the taxpayer makes payment create a challenge for tax administration in situations where the taxpayer has a multiple tax liability. In addition, once all the principal tax has been paid, penalty and interest should stop accruing, and the intended enforcement effect of penalty and interest will be equally removed. Payment of penalty and interest will become an option to the taxpayer other than a priority. Therefore, Section 38 should not be amended as proposed by Parliament. In accordance with Article 91(3)(b) of the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda, I am therefore returning the bills to Parliament for reconsideration of the clauses mentioned above, signed by Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, President. Thank you. So you've heard about Bujagali? Honorable members, pursuant to Rule 1432 of Rules of Procedure, I hereby refer the bills to a Sectoral Committee of Finance, Planning and Economic Development for consideration. So, committee, I need this reconsidered and should be done faster. On Tuesday, 27th June, 2023, we stood over an income tax amendment bill number 2, 2023, pending harmonization between the Minister of Finance and Planning. And today we are ready to handle the bill. We are ready to handle the bill, both the income tax bill number 2. I don't want somebody to say that we first handled the other one. This is the number 2, and this one that we are handling is basically for operationalization of Islamic banking. That is the clause we are looking at. The rest of Bujagali and whichever are not included. This one, it is about Islamic banking. And of course, you know very well, we owe it to our people outside there. I've seen a lot of excitement among the population that we are getting, that Parliament has finally passed Islamic banking. Congratulations. And Honorable Minister, I hope you give a report to the President that will make him assent to the bill. Because for him, he reports and says, I was advised. Yes.
Thanks very much, Right Honorable Speaker. I've listened to the communication from His Excellency, and I've appreciated his concern. My question is, Right Honorable Speaker, before we pass the bill here, we do it in the presence of the Minister concerned, that is the Minister of Finance. We do it in the presence of the Attorney General. Now, when the President says, I've been advised, I expect the same two people to be the ones to advise him. What does it tell to the entire Parliament? That we sit with our colleagues, we agree to pass the bill, and after that they go on our back and advise differently? We need that clarification, Speaker.
Thank you. Honorable Musasi, take note of this concern and you respond later. Yes. On the same.
Yes.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, the information I wanted to add is that whenever we are passing a bill, Right Honorable Speaker, you ask the Attorney General, you ask the minister concerned, are you comfortable? Are we at par? You always ask if it is a private member, you refer to the private member. If it is government, you refer to the ministry concerned. And then they concede and say, let's go ahead, we concede. Where does it arise, Right Honorable Speaker, that this minister or the Attorney General or any person, because the names are not mentioned, would go aside and again advise the president? Otherwise, when we pass the bill here during the day, I don't know whether they go now at night, because we passed the bill here during the day when everybody is here and in good faith. We are working for the good of this country, for the good of our government. So I don't know who goes to our back and then advises otherwise. I think that we should task the ministers concerned, at least today, to be on the floor here and tell us what happens whenever we pass a bill, because it has become a common scenario, Right Honorable Speaker.
Asuman.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, there's a process of making bills is very consultative. These ministers are invited in committees. They appear with the technical people in committees. And there is a lot of interaction at the level of committees. Right Honorable Speaker, I am sensing a lot of dishonesty on the side of the executive when it comes to issues related to bills. Sometimes, Right Honorable Speaker, information now is coming up that they withhold information. You recall when we were discussing the anti-homosexuality law here, the Attorney General went and wrote something different, and when they had an opportunity to appear in the committee, they didn't say what they wanted to say. So this kind of dishonesty being exhibited by our colleagues, where the president says, I am advised. I think, Right Honorable Speaker, as my colleagues have said, it is important to understand who is advising the president. These are people we interact with, the technical people. Right Honorable Speaker, they even come with them here. They are always seated behind there. And occasionally, ministers are moving to that desk, consulting their technical people. Why do they want to blackmail Parliament? Why? Information.
Thank you, Honorable, for giving way. Right Honorable Speaker, Right Honorable Speaker and the House, the process of bills come from policy resolutions and decisions of cabinet. And if it's the same cabinet that creates originality of these bills, they formulate them. That's why even the presenters of the bill are satisfied with the certificate of financial implication and the memoranda. And if they are the same ministers who are misguiding us with the information that they get from the cabinet, they bring it before Parliament, we process through committees, and later on they defy their own policy decisions and resolutions. Are we moving on well? Are we being guided very well with these ministers?
Thank you for the information. Finally, Right Honorable Speaker, very good information. Finally, Right Honorable Speaker, we don't want to take away the president's constitutional right to bring back a bill. We should not take it away. But it would make sense where the president says, in my opinion, because as a stakeholder in the legislative process, he has an opinion and he has the right to it. But to say I am advised by the very same people we sit with, our colleagues, you are being dishonest, you are not being fair to this institution, what you are doing amounts to blackmail, and I think you owe us an apology. I thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Actually, in this one, it is only a clause on Bujagali that is in the president's opinion, which is okay. Francis.
Right Honorable Speaker, I want to thank you. I think there's an attempt by the executive to take away our powers. And this must not be left unchallenged. there is no way the executive can continue backstabbing us, blackmailing us, as if they don't sit in this house. Right, Honourable Speaker, my view is that if they cannot apologize in this house and justify their advice to the president, then we shall stamp our feet and
To the best of my knowledge, my ministers are always in their senses.
so what happens?
At least that one, remove that one.
Where I
Withdraw
remove
that
it,
one.
I remove it, right, Honourable Speaker.
Withdraw that one.
I
We
withdraw.
are handling a very sensitive matter that we should come to a solution. Yes, yes, finish.
Thank you very much, and I withdraw as advised. But the point I'm making is, then what happens after they have left here? So I conclude, right, Honourable Speaker, by requesting that these ministers don't just apologize, but they must justify why they are acting the way they are acting, yet they know they can act better.
Honorable members, I want us to note that one, the president is silent on who advised him. So I don't know whom you want to apologize because he is silent. The letter was between the minister and the president. Now we don't know who advised the president. We don't know which minister. And of course, we should not also stop the constitutional obligation that the president has, that if he's not satisfied with whatever we've passed, because it is a consultative issue. A bill is only completed when it is assented to. Did they say accent? When it is assented to. So when it is assented to, that's when it is complete. But for now, we are on consultation, back and forth. But now we don't know who advised the president to that issue. And as Parliament, I think what we do, let's reconsider the bill. We need to reconsider. Let me first hear from a lady, and then I come back.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I want to thank you for the communication. But Madam Speaker, we are not amazed as members of Parliament, because every time the line ministers come here with the bill, whether it's from the government side or a private member's bill, we want to assume that they have studied the bill so well. And it is not amused when they go behind us, whether they are the ones advising the president and the Attorney General is here, and they keep sending back and forth. It makes us go behind, but we don't move forward as Ugandans. So my humble appeal is the ministers of different entities or different line ministries, before you come to the floor of Parliament, please analyze, articulate the particular bill, so that by the time you go before the committee, you know in and out of what is in the bill. Otherwise, you make the work so difficult and we look lazy. It makes Parliament becomes a laxity. I beg to submit,
But we
Madam
must
Speaker.
also agree that in most cases, a bill is brought in the House, a minister and Attorney General have their position, which they think is from executive, and we reject it in the House. That should be put on record.
Thank you.
Yes. Alan, is it on the same bill? Alan?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam
There's a
Speaker,
procedure matter.
Right Honorable Speaker, I'm rising on the procedural matter. You have ruled twice. First, that the bills are referred to the sector committee and according to our rules. You again ruled that the president is right to exercise his constitutional mandate. Are we proceeding well to continue with this debate when you have made two important rulings on the matter?
Honorable members in the public gallery this afternoon, We have leaders. Listen, in the public gallery, we have leaders of people with disability from Fort Portal City under Action for Community Development Accord, represented by Honorable Kanusu Laura. Thank you. You brought for us a very good person, and Honorable Alex Daisy. These are very good members of parliament. Please bring them back. Thank you. Thank you for coming. Join me in welcoming them. Not on the bill. Lob.
Madam Speaker, I'm raising a procedural matter, and like enough, the Minister of State for Education is here. We had a long debate on the new curriculum in this House, Madam Speaker. And at one time, we had even stated that that new curriculum should be halted until we fund it very well to run. Madam Speaker, as we talk now, a number of secondary schools are running a new curriculum, but teaching using the old books of the old curriculum. And in the public, there are people selling the same books at their own prices, which is very expensive. But the government has refused to provide the books to be used in the new curriculum. So the procedure matter I'm raising is, are we still moving well? And can the Minister of Education come out directly and tell us how a new curriculum be taught using the old curriculum? That's from senior 3, senior 4, up to 11. So could we know why the minister has refused to buy these books? And is government proceeding well by failing to provide the schools with necessary books that make children perform? And at the end of the day, private sellers continue selling books on the market where government would be providing, which is quite expensive for these USE schools and other schools, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, government.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. First, I would like to begin by thanking the acting leader of opposition, who is a member of the Committee of Education and Sports. Madam Speaker and honorable members, first of all, I want to plead with you, Madam Speaker, that you allow me on Tuesday or Wednesday bring a statement specifically to answer the question which Honorable Seungu, the acting leader of opposition, has raised here. But nevertheless, the main issue is here. Honorable members and specifically Honorable Seungu, you are aware that we did ask for money specifically to support us in terms of purchase of books for institutional materials, which I want to confirm that as per our request, we didn't get that money. So these are the challenges we have. Yes, we have the entire curriculum ready, but our challenge is resources. However, Madam Speaker, permit me to formally bring a statement which honorable members can be able to debate on Tuesday or Wednesday. I thank
So you introduced a new curriculum without a plan for it?
I want to thank the minister, Madam Speaker, but you see, you can't have two positions at the same time. You want money and you have to bring a statement. You must accept the challenge, Madam Speaker, because what we are talking is between life and death and about our children. So in the case you say you are not, because this parliament cannot refuse to provide the mandate Ministry of Education to run its work. You have voiced for many supplementaries and have accepted. But where we are having children studying, we're using the old curriculum, I think just accept that there's a challenge. Don't set up in the Committee of Education, I'm up now. And we shall talk about education when I'm out of here, Madam Speaker. Thank you.
Look, are the exams set according to the old curriculum or the new one?
Madam Speaker, that is actually a new National Curriculum Development Center. All the examination boards, we always depend on the curriculum we have given. Whether you teach the subjects the way you, because they look at the syllabus, whether you have taught or not for them, they will move on. That's why in Uganda, you will find the UPE school students failing badly and those in the city passing. Because in Kampala, they can, and the municipalities, they can afford buying these books from any market. So for UNEB, you will not question it. National Curriculum Center will not develop, because for them, they have put up the curriculum, they give UNEB and they set examinations in that form. However, these people in the Ministry of Education are the ones supposed to come out very fast and fight it because they are ministry. There are things we cannot talk here, but your Honor Minister, your promise is legitimate as long as Madam Speaker accepts it.
Honorable Minister, give us a report on the issue for the new curriculum and tell us how many schools you have given books, because I don't believe that you can start a curriculum without a plan for it. There may not be many, but how many have you given? And then we need the names of the schools.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. I'll be able to bring that statement on Tuesday. Thank you.
Thank you. Laura?
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I just wanted to add that as the minister brings the report on Tuesday, a few months ago, the Right Honorable Taebwa asked the Minister of Education to come and report to this parliament why schools for children and learners with disabilities failed across the board, PLE, O-level, and high school. And to this day, Right Honorable Speaker, we have not seen the report. Secondly, the Honorable Alex Ndezi raised an issue concerning the school for the deaf in Bali, where students who are supposed to be in that school who are deaf children have been pushed away, and the school has been taken by other people who are not deaf. We are still waiting for that report, and it's about 4 months from the Minister of Education. Right Honorable Speaker, I want to request that as the minister brings the report on Tuesday, he considers to also give us some feedback regarding those schools. Perhaps that's why my members are in the gallery today. I want to thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
And maybe when you're also looking at that, you look at in your schools, how many schools have a RAM where people with a disability can be able to pass, to be able to enter class. I can accept even parliament here, we don't have.
Madam Speaker, first of all,
we did have, but we have put it.
Madam Speaker, first of all, I would like to thank Honorable colleague for raising those pertinent issues. It's true, the report as far as Mbale School of Deaf is concerned is ready, and that I can be able to have, give a copy to the clerk for purposes of us having it ready to be presented on Tuesday. The other issues which has raised also, we will be able to make sure that by Tuesday, those reports are ready for me to present here. I request that maybe you give me time on the order paper to make the most of this information.
We'll do that,
available.
Honorable Minister.
I thank you so much.
Including the aspect of taking our children very early in the morning to school. You take children to school at 5. And actually the minister himself has even complained to me that these kids are taken too early. Yes, honorable members, we have very serious matters. We need to move. Yes, Alan.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for the opportunity. Right Honorable Speaker, in your communication, you welcomed us from Eid celebrations, but most of Ugandans didn't celebrate Eid because of power shedding, because of
Pardon?
Because of power load shedding.
Repeat what you said. Sarah was disorganized.
Madam Speaker, you welcomed us from Eid celebrations, but most of Ugandans didn't celebrate this day because of power load shedding and limited electricity supply. Parts of Kasese, parts of Wachiso, and even Butambala, even Bukedia. Madam Speaker, however,
honorable members, listen to the member.
Madam Speaker, however, on 27th, the Tuesday of this week, Honorable Ruth Nankabirwa went to South Sudan and signed an agreement to give power to South Sudan. And
let's first sort issue by issue. We did not celebrate, Kasese did not celebrate Eid because there was no power. To the best of my knowledge, Eid, you should know I'm a Muslim. Eid is celebrated during daytime, broad daylight, not in the night. It is not electricity that slaughters cows. Okay?
Madam Speaker, the point I wanted to make is that Minister for Energy went to Sudan, South Sudan, and signed an agreement to sell power to South Sudan. Yet, in Uganda, Ugandans are suffering with darkness. The electricity is not enough. So the minister should table that agreement and elaborate the details in an agreement, and he should explain whether Ugandans do they have enough electricity? Why should Uganda supply electricity to other countries
Is it
when we
supply-
don't?
is it supplying for free or it is being sold?
Madam Speaker, it's not for
I'm
free.
asking,
It's not.
what does the agreement say? Is it a sale or just giving us Rotarian?
Madam Speaker, it is a sale, but for more details, I request Minister for Energy to table under Rule 40 to table the agreement.
Attorney General, you get what he's saying? Why do we sell power when we don't have enough? And the House needs the agreement to be tabled on the floor. Yes, Martin. Martin.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, the point I want to raise is actually in connection to what my colleague has just
You
raised.
see now when you talk about power blackout, that's why you see there's a clause here on Bujagali.
Right Honorable Speaker, the challenge in this country is not that we don't have enough power. The challenge in this country is that we are unable to distribute what is actually being produced in this country. Right Honorable Speaker, we have so many private entities producing energy that we are not using. And as a country, we are spending over 400 billion on power that we are not using. Right Honorable Speaker, it is important that the Minister of Energy comes up with a budget so that we're able to transfer this power from where it is generated to points of consumption other than paying for what we are not actually consuming.
It's an issue of generation. It's and distribution. Generation, transmission, and yes, Dennis.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker, for the opportunity. Right Honorable Speaker, on the 14th of Feb, we processed a loan here.
Of which year?
Of this year, for distribution of power in almost 56 new districts. I personally supported the loan because my constituency is 40 miles away from Kampala. But in the town council of Luweero Town Council, we do not have power. Actually, when I learned that our minister represented us to sign an agreement to sell power to South Sudan, actually I feel offended because I processed, actually I put in my energy to process the loan.
Let's give out all those comments when the minister brings the report, because we cannot speak about that when she's not here. So we'll ask the minister to come and report to the House and lay on table the agreement that she signed.
Right, Honorable Speaker. Since I am here on the people's mandate, I would want an assurance. Maybe what is the status of the loan we processed? Did we process it to generate power to
saying next item.
Item 3, laying of papers, 3A.
You know, when I give you the liberty, you misuse it. That is a problem. I give you the liberty to speak everything and you want to misuse it. Eh? Next item.
Laying of papers, 3A, the Public Procurement and Disposal of Public Assets Authority Annual Performance Report for the year 2021-2022.
Honorable Atkins has a procedural matter, but make it short. The good thing Sarah is here to translate.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. The last time I was here, in the last sitting, you assigned me to go to Kasese.
And to the hospital.
And to the hospital. To begin with, Kasese, Madam Speaker, first of all, Kasese as a community is grateful to you for your quick and motherly response. Madam Speaker, the community is still bleeding psychologically. The community continues to be crippled emotionally. Madam Speaker, 17 bodies had been sent to Bujagali Hospital for DNA, especially the bodies that were banned beyond recognition. Madam Speaker, 11 of those bodies are back, and they were received yesterday by their grieving families. And 6 more, I think the technologists, DNA technologists are still trying to figure out how they can match the DNA, because this is basically ash and rubble. Madam Speaker, the point that I want to bring to your attention, and by extension, the entire House, is that government, out of its generosity, donated $5 million to every family. But when Honorable Minister Muyingo went to the community, did not leave the 11 because he had to first wait until identity is ascertained. When I was in the community yesterday, their families of the 11 bodies that were found or matched with the DNA are waiting on government and the minister to probably assign somebody to take the $5 million contribution. Madam Speaker, my woman member of parliament asked a lot of questions and valid questions. We're yet to get the answers to those questions. Madam Speaker, before the tragedy happened, we had a lot of checkpoints everywhere. It is amazing and shocking that now you drive all the way from Rimi to Kiraro, the last mountainous area, without a checkpoint. How can you have checkpoints in every junction of the district before the tragedy? And sadly, after the tragedy, they disappear. So you have people, Madam Speaker, that are living under extreme fear. My request this afternoon, Madam Speaker, is that the leadership, the security leadership should put checkpoints so that communities can be in their homes and schools with a restful heart. And also, very lastly, Madam Speaker, there's a lot of miscommunication. Government pronounced itself and said we shall provide security in our school communities. Unfortunately, the school communities don't have security.
Madam Speaker, if it pleases you, I'm asking you on behalf of the people of Kasese to direct the Minister for Defense, Internal Affairs, and Security to ensure that adequate amount of power is deployed around school communities so that we don't have our sons and daughters breaking, off and missing their education. To those in the hospitals, Madam Speaker, I think we continue to offer them prayers. They're responding very well. Doctors following them, and by the grace of God, so that we might have their lives back. I really want to
you.
appreciate you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Atkins. Honorable Gwang will want you to follow it up with Honorable Muingo on the monies that was not given to those other families and the issue of security in the schools. But then just before you come, on the issue of the checkpoints, I remember one time you are the same person who raised an issue of checkpoints everywhere. Before you reach Kasese, you will have had 20 checkpoints, and they were removed because of you. They were removed because of you. You are the same person who has come complaining there are no checkpoints. So what do we do as government?
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. On the issue of the identities of the kids, we want to pledge that we will be able to follow it up with the ministry to ensure that the additional money of the 5 million to every family is availed to the rightful person. So thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker. I'll work with the Honorable Atkins to follow up on that matter. I thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Lord.
Madam Speaker, I want to thank Honorable Atkins and the Minister.
Maybe can I request, Lop, that there is an issue which Honorable can address, the issue of security at schools. Honorable members who have picked up this matter seriously, and specifically, maybe we must look at the area where we know we might be our borders with our neighbors, which are not good. Those are areas maybe we will be able to work strictly with the Ministry of Defense and also Internal Affairs to help. But like you know, our role as education is entirely to deal with matters of education. Issues of security are Internal Affairs and Defense. I thank you.
Thank you. Love, what is it?
Yeah, Madam Speaker, brief. I want to thank the Honorable Atkins and the Minister. But Madam Speaker, we are all happy. We feel happy when you give the 5 million. But Madam Speaker, to the Attorney General, we pray that this man does not become the end of the solution. What is happening in all these rampant deaths that take place? Government gives 5 million and investigations end there because they think people have got the 5 million. Now they're a bit relaxed. But our prayer is, yes, you have given that support. Let us have a logical conclusion of the cause of death of those people. So many families have got this money, but they have not got tangible results of where the death came from. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And the reports.
Thank you. Sarah had something on the same, on the money.
No, thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, you did ask us to get to our constituencies. And Right Honorable Speaker, we don't fly, we move by road. This House severally in the last session discussed the motion on the road funding for our roads because of challenges that we are all facing in our constituencies. And Right Honorable Speaker, I want to appreciate you and this Parliament and the executive for allocating 1 billion shillings to every district. However, Right Honorable Speaker, we had the District Roads Committee meeting in Tororo. And Right Honorable Speaker, to our shock, while the guidelines were sent to the districts, we asked for this money and how the district was planning to utilize this money. It was not an issue of the road fund. A few people within the district now decided to sit and plan for this money. When we visited the roads where this money was supposed to be utilized, Right Honorable Speaker, you'll be shocked. A passable, motorable road is where this money had been allocated. And you find roads that are completely cut off, those that are completely impassable.
looking like potato gardens. No money was allocated. So, Right Honorable Speaker, the issue I'm raising here, under the district road funds, we have members of parliament where we sit with the executive, the secretary of works, the district chairperson, and discuss how this money is actually spent. But the way it is now, Right Honorable Speaker, this money is going to get lost in the hands of a few people in the district if we are not careful. So, Right Honorable Speaker, the procedure issue I'm raising, rather than this money going directly to the districts, and it is for now the executive and a few deciding, let this 1 billion shillings be routed through the road fund where there is accountability and where members of parliament sit, Right Honorable Speaker. This is the issue. A case in point is Tororo, and I'm sure it is happening even in other districts. So I want to raise, Right Honorable Speaker, I want to bring this to your attention, and I don't see why the 1 billion shillings cannot go through the road funds where we sit and can clearly monitor this money. Thank you very much for this opportunity, Right Honorable Speaker.
Honorable members, we passed a resolution in this house to give each district, local government, that money. And we agree that the members of parliament will have to oversee the use of that money. The money was allocated, appropriated to the local government, each local government. I don't know how you're going to move a mischarge. How you're going to move money from one vote to the other vote. The few of us who know some little accounting, it is not something that you can do. What you need to do your oversight role. Do your oversight role. Go on ground. You are the leader. You are the ones who advocated for this money. I remember I was sitting here when we passed that resolution. You advocated for that money. Where you see the cow is overriding, we have the powers to get out that cow. We'll take an action, let the money be there, the guidelines are there, and we'll make sure that money will do the best work. When you start saying that this money should go to road fund, it's different. Now, that 1 billion shillings that you're going to be getting yearly for your constituency, and you know that you have a control, can bring you back. Next item.
Item 3A.
I am personally going to monitor that money for all the districts. If it means calling all the cows in our boardroom here and tell them, read for them the guidelines, we will do it. But members, you try to abscond your constituencies, you leave the money to be used by those people, and then at the end of the day, you come and raise it on the floor. It doesn't help. Ajat, and you will discuss on the next one. We've made a ruling that one.
Good information on that money. I have been in my district. We went to monitor usage of money for roads. And the technical officers informed us that they've been directed to work with members of parliament over the 1 billion shillings. That means good information has been given to the districts. It's upon us now to liaise with them and follow up the money. At least my district have been reliably informed.
And that is a very far district in Butambala. What about a near one like Tororo? Next item.
Item 3A.
You people, that 1 billion is yours.
Madam Speaker, I beg to lay on the table the Public Procurement and Disposal of Public Assets Authority Annual Performance Report for financial year 2021-2022. I beg to lay.
Please lay. I refer the report to the Committee for Finance, Planning and Economic Development. And in the same vein, I would urge the committee to consider all the pending reports which are before the committee and bring them to the floor. And we have the most urgent one on operationalization, the regulations for Islamic banking in MDIs. Next.
Item 3B, the National Water and Sewerage Corporation Integrated Annual Report 2021-2022.
Honorable Minister.
Madam Speaker, on behalf of the Ministry of Water, I beg to lay the National Water and Sewage Corporation Integrated Annual Report 21-22.
Thank you so much. Referred to the Committee of Environment and Natural Resources.
Item 3C, the National Physical Planning Board Annual Performance Report for the financial year 21-22.
Honorable Minister of Lands.
Madam Speaker, on behalf of government, we want to lay the annual report of the Ministry of Lands, Housing and Urban Development for the financial year 2022, for the financial year ended 2022.
21-22, thank you. I refer to the Committee of Fiscal Infrastructure.
Item 3D, report of the Auditor General on the financial statements of the National Physical Planning Board for the financial year ended 30th June 2022.
Parliamentary Commissioner.
Right, Honorable Speaker, I beg to lay the report of the Auditor General on the financial statements of the National, not this, the National Physical Planning Board. I beg your pardon.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Speaker. My order is not addressed to Honorable Serwan. Right,
You know,
Honorable Speaker.
you only raise an order on the person.
Yes, there's an order I would like to raise, Honorable Speaker. It's a point of order.
Is somebody not dressed?
May I, yes, may I know, right, Honorable Speaker, whether the honorable member dressed in a casual green shirt is actually appropriately dressed for this parliamentary sitting?
The Honorable Goli is dressed in a traditional African attire, and he's very, very smart.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker and honorable members. I beg to lay the report of the Auditor General on the financial statements of the National Fiscal Planning Board for the financial year ended 30th June 2022. I beg to lay.
Thank you. I refer the report to the Public Accounts Committee Central and should be reported back within 6 months. That is pursuant to Article 163(5) of the Constitution and Rule 174, 6 of the Rules of Procedure. And I want to remind your committees to present their reports. The 6 months have passed. I have only got reports from our local government. And we are giving government assurances time this week, next week.
Madam Speaker, I will do as directed.
Thank you.
Item 4, Bill's second reading, the Income Tax Amendment number 2, Bill 2023.
Honorable members, we stood over this bill and we asked the Minister of Finance, Attorney General, and the committee to harmonize. Can we get a report of harmonization? But as we get the report of harmonization, our clogging machines are working. We are going to have a printout for the last session and it will be on the print media. Can I have a report of harmonization? Can I first hear from Honorable Chivombi? No, let me first.
Right Honorable Chair, Right Honorable Speaker, thank you for this opportunity. I think in my humble view, the chair has a position.
No, did you harmonize? What I
Chair,
want to
in
find
brief,
out.
we did not.
You didn't?
At a committee level, we did not agree. The government came and we met them. The committee went into its own meeting after government had left, and there remained one issue, which is very simple, which we can flash out and pass this bill.
And God.
And that one issue is only on the definition of interest. Because, Right Honorable Speaker, if permit me to speak about why we still hold a very strong opinion on a definition of interest, is that essentially, Right Honorable Speaker, interest under Islamic banking is riba. The core principle of Islamic banking is on a basis that it is charitable, that it goes to help the disadvantaged to leverage their position. And in the whole transaction, there is nothing like a profit. Even there is no interest or income to tax under Islamic banking financing. Now, the framers of this bill simply didn't interrogate, even if any of us who have iPad, Google, which I can ask all members who want to contribute to Google, that just put Google meaning of riba. Even Google will give you the definition of riba. And it goes ahead to define what riba is in the Google definition. It simply means the differences in Islamic banking is that if I'm going to, first of all, Islamic banking is not speculative. It has a quid pro quo. If you're going to give me money, Right Honorable Speaker, bank to give me money to buy a car, the bank will buy a car in its own name. That's why in the stamp duty exercise bill, we never put a tax when the bank is registering that car, because there is no actual ownership, it's in a trust. Now, when I'm paying back, let me say 100 million, I'm supposed to pay back 100 million. The only difference can be is in the transaction fees that are involved, which we call markups. In the whole transaction, it's against the Quranic teaching to assume there will be excess money above the markup cost, and there is no income in that transaction. So it's just minimal pay for fees to process, to transact and complete that transaction. Now, the framers of the Income Act look for income, and therefore they assume there is a profit, and therefore it will attract a tax. That's why in the position of the committee, which I strongly believe is the right interpretation of the law under Sharia, is that where there is interest, we replace it with markup. Because the moment we manage the world outside here, the moment a very good intention will be decampaigned on a basis that is against the teachings of Islam or against the Sharia law. And therefore, and that is Right Honorable Speaker Attorney General, all the witnesses that came before our parliament, Uganda Muslim Supreme Council, the Uganda's Muslim Lawyers Association, that all appeared, were almost agreeable to other things, but they voiced concern with that issue. That's why, and it's at the core of what is called Islamic banking. Not to go into those murky waters, we request government this time, this is a very noble cause, long overdue, to agree with our position. And where there is interest, we put markup. That will simply address that issue. In our humble view, that's a contentious issue. I've been speaking to many of my colleagues who are Muslims in this parliament to sell your position, but it seems like it's unsellable because it will offend the Quran. Is that serious?
Can I have AJ?
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, we are not writing a religious law. No, listen, no, it's a submission.
Honorable Sumani, if you're used to quarreling with the voters, well, this is not Bugiri.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, we have tried to harmonize this matter. This law we are writing here is not being written in Uganda only. It's being written in other places. And for purposes of guiding the House today, I came with a copy of the Kenyan tax law, which is very, very close to us here, and has the definition of interest in here for Islamic law, and it has worked in Kenya for a couple of years, and it has worked very well. Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, this tax law uses the word interest 126 times. So the moment you change that word interest in this tax law, you must allow us to go back and redo all the 126 items that appear in the Income Tax Act which deal with interest. We are defining the word interest for purposes of Islamic law with that expectation that under Islamic law, there is no markup. And if there is no markup, then it will be zero, there will be no interest. Because if, I haven't finished, let me finish.
Is that what you've included, that there is no markup under Islamic law?
That's what we are, that is the definition that is being created here, that for purposes of Islamic law, it has to only be that amount which is higher than what they agreed to pay back. So the issue here, Right Honorable Speaker, is that this definition is not only in Uganda, it's here. And I would like to lay a copy of the Kenya tax law, and it defines interest similar to ours. So, Right Honorable Speaker, the problem is, Right Honorable Speaker, if we...
Honorable Attorney General, if there is an aspect of no markup, I don't see why we are wasting our time. Can we go to committee stage?
Motion.
Put a motion.
Right Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that the House constitute itself into committee stage to discuss the bill. I beg to move.
Is it seconded? Seconded by Attorney General, Minister of Finance, by everybody in the House because of markup.
The Income Tax Amendment Number 2 Bill 2023, Bills Committee stage.
Honorable members, I did not put a question because we put a question last time. So we're supposed to be at committee stage, and that's why I have not put a question, and the quorum was determined.
Clause 1.
Clause 1, Chair.
Right Honorable Speaker, clause 1 has no amendments.
Chair, clause 1 is where we are seeking the indulgence of the committee to replace return on investment, the word return on investment, with markup. Yes, that's why we are seeking the indulgence, so that the other aspects remain consequential.
AJ.
Right Honorable Speaker, is if you're going to introduce to replace return on investment with markup, those are two different things. A markup is a build up on an amount. Return on investment is the return that you get for your investment. It's totally different. It is more inclusive. The different kinds of Islamic banking that exist use different models. Some people like he gave the example of the car, that is one model. There are other models which are used where the entity, you buy them in another person's names, you handle them in another person's name. So the different models do not necessarily all use the model of markup, but they use a return on investment. Colleagues, what we need to agree and appreciate that even with Islamic banking, I will give you 100 million and I expect back 110 million at the end of the day, which is supposed to take care of the management fees and all the other costs to manage the what? To manage that that portfolio. It doesn't necessarily mean that is a profit or interest, but it is a cost that is built up on it. So if you say markup, it is not a return on that investment, not necessarily a return. I beg my colleagues that these provisions that we are dealing with here, we have not picked them. We are not creating them here for the first time. We have benchmarked and borrowed from other jurisdictions which have actually done Islamic bank. I break that.
Attorney General, as you continue the negotiation, can we go to clause 2? We stand over that, then we come back.
Clause 2.
I put it. There is no amendment. I put a question that clause 2 stands part of the bill. Those in favor say on the contrary, nay. The ayes have it.
New clause.
New clause, Chair. You don't have a new clause?
Clause 3.
Do you have amendment?
Right Honorable Speaker, colleagues, there are no amendments on the next clause.
I put a question that clause 3 stands part of the bill. Those in favor say on the contrary, nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 4.
Right Honorable Speaker, for purposes of clarity, it was only the first clause that had issues. The rest of the clauses, there were no amendments.
Okay. I put a question that clause 4 stands part of the bill. Those in favor say on the contrary, nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 5.
I put a question that clause 5 stands part of the bill. Those in favor say on the contrary, nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 6.
I put a question that clause 6 stands part of the bill. Those in favor say on the contrary, nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 7.
I put a question that clause 7 stands part of the bill. Those in favor say on the contrary, nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 8.
I put a question that clause 8 stands part of the bill. Those in favor say on the contrary, nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 9.
I put a question that clause 9 stands part of the bill. Those in favor say on the contrary, nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 10.
I put a question that clause 10 stands part of the bill. Those in favor say on the contrary, nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 11.
I put a question that clause 11 stands part of the bill. Those in favor say on the contrary, nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 12.
I put a question that clause 12 stands part of the bill. Do you have?
Clause 12.
Clause 12, Chair.
Right Honorable Speaker and honorable colleagues, in clause 12, there is an element of recharacterization of arrangement under Islamic financing. And the committee observed the following. It was proposed that the Commissioner General's powers be furthered by amending the provision to include the need for the Commissioner General to consult with experts on Sharia law, including the Uganda Muslim Supreme Council and the Accounting and Auditing Organization of the Islamic Financial Institutions. And AAOIFI is an Islamic international autonomous non-profit making corporate body that prepares accounting, auditing, governance, ethics, and Sharia standards for Islamic financial institutions and the industry. The committee, however, noted that provision under 12, clause 12, already fetters the powers of the Commissioner General for purposes of recharacterizing Islamic financial business. Clause 2 of the proposed section 163A specifically states that the Commissioner General shall, emphasis added, comply with the Sharia principles in characterizing an arrangement under Islamic financial business not provided for under this act. The committee observed that the issue of the word shall restricts the exercise of characterizing any arrangement under Islamic financial business by the Commissioner General to only that is or which is acceptable under the principles of Sharia. Any further specification of the law may limit the Commissioner General to only one entity mentioned, which may limit the implementation of the law itself. And therefore, the committee recommends that clause 12 be maintained in the bill.
Honorable Chair, when there is no amendment, you said, as you said before, there is no amendment. I put a question that clause 12 stands part of the bill. Those in favor say on the contrary, nay. The ayes have it. There is no amendment. No. There is no amendment. The chair.
He talked about consultation of Uganda Muslim Supreme Council alone, but you should accept that now there would be an amendment in any other leadership of Islamic faith in Uganda, because you know that we have two. There are two muftis in this country, by the way. Can we?
No,
do
he
some
just
amendment that?
made an observation.
Okay.
Yes.
But it's very important.
Clause 13.
I put a question that clause 13 stands part of the bill. Those in favor say on the contrary, nay. The ayes have it.
Title.
Clause 1.
Clause 1.
Clause 1. The amended position. Agreed position.
Chair, clause 1.
Hajat, in the Sharia law, when the Hajis are talking, the Hajats sit. So we delegated the Hajj to talk.
Chair, that's the correct position of
That's
Sharia.
the correct position.
And I want to thank you for appreciating that, Chair. A very correct position. Chair, I really want to seek the indulgence of the committee and the learned Attorney General that we consider, because you see, learned Attorney General, you are giving examples across the region and other parts. There are two things we need to appreciate. The Honorable Mwanga Chivumbi was explaining that you see, when you are talking about Islamic banking and you are looking at collecting taxes, the two are completely incompatible. Even the examples you cite of Kenya and everywhere, they are not taxing Islamic banking. They are not taxes. Now, Saudi Arabia and the others, the challenge we have here is that we want to look at Islamic banking as a source of taxes. And that is where the problem is. So we want to kindly beg you. And you see, we must be very careful not to use clawback clauses in this piece of legislation, where you are giving with one hand and taking away with another. It's really going to, if you really want to help the community, and just for information purposes, Islamic banking is not about Muslims. When this service is eventually rolled out there, the banks that are going to be providing this service are not going to ask for your faith for you to access it. I think it's also important to state that and put it in context. We are looking at a service available to everybody. Just like when this country goes to borrow in the Islamic world, they don't do so because it's an Islamic country. They don't do so because it's an Islamic country. We may be a member of OIC, but we are not necessarily an Islamic country. Therefore, I want to beseech you, Chair, Minister and Learned Attorney General, that wherever the word interest appears in this committee, I mean in this bill, we replace it with markup. As simple as that.
Yes, Hajat.
Chair, I want to justify the use of markup against return on investment. Return on investment is profit. Now, Islamic banking is looking at other costs, not necessarily profit. Now, the word markup includes both. The word markup will include other costs that could be added, operational costs, would also include if there is any profit anyway, which is not meant to be there. But when you use return on investment, you are speaking to profit, which is not meant to be there. Islamic banking presupposes that you are loaning the person money to help him go out of a situation, therefore not look up to making profit. So the word return on investment defeats the logic, the whole principle of Islamic banking. I join colleagues to plead to the Attorney General to accept use of markup other than return on investment.
Now you're confusing.
Madam Chair. Madam Chair, the Attorney General, that word return on investment is not necessarily a profit. And the profit is the business, profit on the other measures that performance of the business is what you call profit. But return on profit is not necessarily a profit in legal terms. I think you have to clarify this very well. The word return on profit is not profit. Return on investment is not profit. Because the profit is about the hardship and what you have done in your business, what you get out. But return on investment, you should explain that as the Attorney General, is not profit. I think you should clarify that.
You just want to define the word. You see, but you see, now
Because the return on investment is the figure, the cost of the
now what you do,
Now we shall have Catholic banking now. Where shall we go?
Honorable members, can I have silence? Come, you call for me. Asuman, Asuman, come. Honorable members, we need harmony in the house. We will not pass something that where other people are disgruntled and where you'll find and then you'll find the minister will write and say that was not the position of executive. So let's agree, let the other side agree with the Attorney General. We come with a harmonized position. And that's basically what we are doing. Yes. Yes. Sleep over what?
Procedure, Madam.
If you want to sleep, you go and sleep.
Add a procedure matter.
Yes.
I'm on point of privilege. Thank you. Procedure
It's,
takes precedent.
No, I'm not.
Yes.
I am not giving all of you because I am at committee stage. I am at committee stage. I'm waiting for a harmonized position. Attorney General, we are waiting for you. Honorable members, the clause that we are looking at, when you look at the amendment under clause 1, and Aisha, I want you to listen to this. The payment of excess of return on investment in the bond to the bondholder and Islamic financial business for each payment period over interest as defined under paragraph KK 6. When you go to paragraph KK 6, any payment of excess of total amount paid by a bond issuer over the above the amount received from the bond holder and Islamic financial services for each payment period, calculated at a rate not exceeding a rate determined by the central bank, does not include dividends, or a partner's share or partnership income derived from partnership arrangement and Islamic financial businesses. It goes further and says, by inserting immediately after the definition of interest the following. Now that's where it brings in Islamic banking. Immediately after the word is interest, it says Islamic financial business means financial business undertaken by a person that shall conform to Sharia principles and includes a business of receiving property into profit sharing investment accounts, or for managing such accounts. Now you are replacing the interest with the Sharia law. Okay? Any other business of a person which involves or is intended to involve the entry into one or more contracts under the Sharia and otherwise carried out or purported to be carried out in accordance with the Sharia principles, including equity or partnership financing, lease-based financing, sale-based financing, currency exchange contract, or fee-based activity. Now, this is what we have been arguing. The law should be read interchangeably. You don't read only one section and say that is enough. They've defined what interest is, and they have defined what Islamic banking is. Are we together, Hajat?
Yes, Chair, we are together. But the problem stems from the very first one, which you read, the very first clause.
On the return on investment.
The return on investment. The rest of the clauses flow very well.
Flow very well. So you want return on investment to be replaced with a markup?
Yes, Chair.
What is the difference between markup and a
markup? Return on investment. Chair, return on investment is a profit.
No. It includes the profit. It includes the profit.
There is interest to use the two words interchangeably, but they are different. Markup includes operational costs and return on investment. Okay, that is markup. Return on investment is expressly profit. So when you use markup, Right Honorable Chair,
now the definition of markup shows how much more a company's selling price is than the amount the item costs in a company. That is that. In general, the higher the markup, the more revenue the company makes. That is a markup.
Thank you, Right Honorable Chair.
Wait, I'm still giving you return on investment.
If you could allow me to interpret that.
Okay.
Markup includes selling cost in total after adding operational costs, and you want what you want to gain as a company, your return. So it's a selling price in total inclusive of operational costs and the return on investment. That's a markup, and that's how I understand it, and that's how we have interpreted it. Then you can help us get the return on investment, which I understand to be a profit. And colleagues, I want to bring you to the attention of the words Honorable Mwanga Chivumi brought to our attention initially, that the whole essence of Islamic banking is to be able to help someone to get out of a situation.
First of all, the return on investment is calculated by dividing the profit earned on the investment by the cost of that investment. For instance, an investment with a profit of, say, $100 and the cost and its cost of $100 would have a return on investment of 100%. If your cost of operation was $100 and you make a profit equivalent to what you invested, that is what they call a return on investment. Yes.
Thank you, Chair. You just emphasized what I said. A return investment is getting a summation of every money that you have invested in the business and be able to calculate what you want to get out of it. That's a return on investment. And Islamic banking does not envisage a situation that you'll invest money to make a gain, the organization to make a gain. It envisages a situation that you'll invest money to make someone salvage a situation. So the money that is expected to be added over and above is operational cost. The moment you put there return on investment, you are saying that the one who is investing will make a personal gain. The business will make a personal gain, which is assumed to be exploitative of a person that is actually coming for assistance.
Honorable members, the principle is agreed that all what is provided for in the law should be read interchangeably. Now, the issue that is here is on the markup versus return on investment. I'm going to put a question. I thought you were speaking for and on behalf of the Sharia.
And right, Honorable Chair, I heard the Attorney General say here that it is assumed that return in Islamic banking, return on investment is zero. And he said that if he assumes the return of investment is zero, what is the problem? I really don't understand the problem here, except like one of our colleagues said, we are giving with one hand and one take away with the other hand. Let's wait for them, sir, to return, and then we make a conclusion.
Madam Chair.
Honorable members, we still have another bill we need to finalize.
Madam Chair. Madam Chair. Yeah, Madam Chair, thank you very much. You have well said that we still have another bill, but this very particular bill is very important and we have been waiting for it. And last time we gave the Attorney General and the team time to go and reconcile. I can now see them coming back, hoping that they will help this parliament with the agreed position that must make us move forward. Madam Chair, thank you.
Honorable members, I don't even see any problem with that clause. It's just for trying to practice democracy. Can you report? Can you report, Asmani?
Chair, I want to thank you. We have had a very fruitful discussion where our view was to have the committee report position maintained. The learned Attorney General and his side of the opinion that the wording of the bill, where business is conducted under Islamic banking, the provision of interest and taxes will not apply. And that's the import of KK. KK. No, not KK, the Attorney General.
It is a provision of KK.
KKA.
KK.
Yes, Chair.
One.
Chair, we were trying to look at what the bill says in relation to clauses 5, 6, and 7, in relation to the discussion we've been having. And the interpretation of the learned Attorney General is that our concerns are well catered for under KKA, which deals with Islamic financial businesses that have been defined.
Thank you. You mean you've just seen? That's what I was saying. I put a question that clause 1 stands part of the bill. Those in favor say on the contrary, nay. The ayes have it.
Title.
I put a question that the title stands part of the bill. Those in favor say on the contrary, nay. The ayes have it.
Motion for resumption of the House.
Madam Chair, I beg to move that the House do resume and the committee of the whole House reports thereto.
I put a question that the House resumes and the committee of the whole House reports thereto. Those in favor say on the contrary, nay. The ayes have it.
Report of the committee of the whole House.
Honorable Minister.
Madam Speaker, I beg to report that the committee of the whole House has considered the bill entitled the Income Tax Amendment Bill number 2, 2023 and passed it with no amendments.
Motion for adoption of the report of the committee of the whole House.
Minister.
Madam Speaker, I beg to move that the report from the committee of the whole House be adopted.
I put a question that the House adopts the report of a committee of the whole House. Those in favor say on the contrary, nay. The ayes have it.
Bill's third reading, the Income Tax Amendment number 2, Bill 2023.
Honorable Minister.
Madam Speaker, I beg to move that the Income Tax Amendment Bill number 2 of 2023 be read for the third time and do pass.
I put a question that the Income Tax Amendment Bill 2023 number 2 be read a third time and do pass. Those in favor say on the contrary, nay. The ayes have it.
A bill for an act titled the Income Tax Amendment Number 2 Act 2023.
Bill passed and title settled. Can we have the next bill?
Bill second reading, the Foreign Exchange Amendment Bill 2023.
The Imam, I will give you to say a word after. Don't worry. This is still your bill.
Madam
Yes.
Speaker, I beg to move a motion that the Foreign Exchange Amendment Bill 2023 be read for the second time.
Is it seconded? Seconded by Tebandeke. Tebandeke, first come back. Tebandeke, Honorable Moma, Honorable Jara, Linda, Soroti Gweri, Chairman Anite Koboko, by the whole house. Maje Maje. Can you speak to your bill?
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, the bill seeks to amend the Foreign Exchange Act of 2004 to provide for the enhancement of the minimum capital requirements to carry on foreign exchange business, the use of technology in operations and charging the administrative penalties, the strengthening of the vetting requirements, and the harmonization of the regulatory regime pertaining the foreign exchange bureaus and the money remittance companies with the East African Community region. Madam Speaker, I submit.
Thank you, Honorable Chivumbi. Did you have any?
Right, Honorable Speaker, the time limited for this bill and the urgency was very, but there are 3 takeaways, which in your indulgence you will address. One of them is because of time, I can't fault a committee for elaborate consultation. But the second issue regards in transfer fees. You know, when we are making this bill, Right Honorable Speaker, Forex bureaus are one of the low-hanging fruits for which so many of our local people pay. The minimum capital now required will be 50 million to operate a Forex bureau. But if you are going to transfer both local and foreign investors, but when it comes to participating in the transfers, the cost will be 200 million, both local and foreign. Now, we have to be very careful as we make this law that we don't outcompete, that the foreign people don't completely wipe away our local people. Because it's so critical when you even them, the possibility that our local participants in there gets squeezed under this, especially where now the requirement is 200 million, there is likely to be, so we have to be very careful. The second issue that is of contention is on excessive powers being given to the governor in amending, in coming up with fees. Like we did on all tax laws, it will be so critical that we cure that. And at some stage, because there's no minority report, at some stage, that those instruments be approved by Parliament. Because you are talking about fees, if not well handled, threaten the very participation of our local people.
And you find the governor can also abuse his powers.
Yeah, these powers can be excessive under those circumstances. So those are 3 issues, the 2 issues that we need to carefully, as Parliament, address whether the law we enact does not eliminate the local participant in this trade. It's 10%. They noted it is 10% of our GDP. Our GDP, 10% of the transactions are in that sector.
Do our people continue to have a niche in it, or by amending it and raising this bar so high, we are eliminating them? With those concerns.
So for now, we don't have amendments until we come up with those amendments, both in Bank of Uganda and then.
If Parliament deems it so under your own guidance, we can cure those things without so
using
much
BOU.
controversy.
Yes.
I beg you for your.
So we don't have any amendments for this case. Thank you. Can we go, move a motion? Move a motion.
Right, Honorable Chair, Honorable Isa to indict me that I didn't do my work. I did my work, but we have had only one day.
Honorable Aisha, stop blackmailing my very able
and you know he's my
minister.
voter. So I'm careful when I lose confidence of my voter.
Voter. Now, voter, can you move a motion that we go to next week?
Thank you, Right Honorable Chair. I was about to raise for a point of order. I thought Honorable Mwanga was not in order to come here and simply talk, yet he had the right to propose an amendment. He didn't utilize that opportunity to make proposals to us. That said, Chair, I hereby move a motion that we move to committee stage to consider this bill.
Whatever the consequences, we don't mind.
Chair, Speaker,
thank you. Aisha, you have moved a motion. Is it seconded? Seconded by Ethel, Margaret, Moses, Max, Guerre, Anifa. Thank you. Honorable members, we have the quorum. I put a question that the Foreign Exchange Amendment Bill 2023 be read for the second time. Those in favor say and the contrary nay. The ayes have it.
The Foreign Exchange Amendment Bill 2023, Bills Committee stage. Clause 1.
Clerk, I want you to uphold the report and in line with what Honorable Mwanga Chivumbi also presented, the report should be uploaded on our Hansard. Clause 1, I put a question that clause 1 stands part of the bill. Those in favor say and the contrary nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 2.
I put a question that clause 2. Hey, you said there is no amendment.
When I made my comments, I thought you would accommodate in the interest of the country. In the interest of, I said, I work under very constraint of also human resource. I constrained my small workforce. That work on that. So, Right Honorable Speaker, under this clause, I want to move that it transfer for our local investors on the minimum 50. I agree. People who don't have 50 million, whether local or foreign, cannot engage in this business. It is highly requires a lot of cash. But for our local, to give our local people some small advantage, we put it to 150 million and the foreigners 200. Just no 150 and local 150 share capital and the foreign ones 200.
Minister.
Madam Speaker, Chair, the law we are debating under the proposal is trying to bring, I don't see how it comes in. The law defines a Forex bureau. Minimum capital requirements for Forex bureaus and money remittances. So we cannot now begin bringing in a Forex bureau, which is owned locally, and a Forex bureau, which is owned. We can't. These are companies.
Honorable members, is that part of the object? How will you know that when I go to a Forex bureau, this one is operated by a local person and a foreigner? Can we hear from the chair?
Madam Chair and honorable colleagues, during our interface with the stakeholders, we realized and we got information that when this attempt was made to regularize betting, sports betting and the law around that, we had issues and it did not take off. So that's why we said, particularly when we are addressing this, it is double-edged in a sense that we are trying also to address issues of money laundering. And we shouldn't try to bring it low, yet our locals, even if they're operating, their businesses can be used for money laundering. And 200 million, in our opinion, as a committee, we think it is not so big, given the amounts that they use. Because, you know, the difference here is we're talking about Forex bureaus and remittance of money or money transfers to other countries. And we think by the time you are at that level, you should be having that capacity.
Thank you for giving way. Madam Chair, if we begin now to say local in a liberalized economy, we are going even against the principles of East African community. Yes. So I would suggest we don't go that way. I'm giving information, Honorable Chair. We should not go that way. We are going to contradict the principles of the integration of East African community and even the principles of running a liberalized economy.
Additionally, Madam Chair.
Honorable members, let's not create a scenario where we have people hide behind being locals when they are foreigners. Let's make a law for everybody who is here. Yes.
Madam Chair, I want to make this point that let's say this is a player. These are players in the financial sector space. We have banks there. Some are domestically owned, others are foreign owned. Capital is capital to these banks. We have insurance players in the same industry. Their capital is capital, whether foreign or domestically owned. And also the point you have just made, Madam Chair, we risk creating a window where people are going to start hiding under domestic when they are foreign. And also, when we talk about local, in the current laws, we define local to mean East African. There is a risk that we may tamper with the harmonization of the ESC community. Madam Chair, I want to invite colleagues really to.
Honorable members, I wanted to find out from the minister the minimum capital that is charged to the commercial banks. Does it differentiate the local and foreign? For instance, if you're looking at Centenary Bank, which is local, and Stanchart, do they charge different?
Madam Chair, the capital requirements in commercial banks is defined by tiers. If you are tier 1, you are charged a certain minimum capital requirement.
Regardless of where you come from?
Regardless of where you come from.
Honorable members, I put a question that clause 2 stands part of the bill. Those in favor say on the contrary, nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 3.
I put a question that clause 3 stands part of the bill. Those in favor say and the contrary nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 4.
I put a question that clause 4 stands part of the bill. Those in favor say and the contrary nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 5.
I put a question that clause 5 stands part of the bill. Those in favor say and the contrary nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 6.
I put a question that clause 6 stands part of the bill. Those in favor say and the contrary nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 7.
I put a question that clause 7 stands part of the bill. Those in favor say and the contrary nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 8.
Clause 8, I put a question that clause 8 stands part of the bill. Those in favor say and the contrary nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 9.
I put a question that clause 9 starts part of the bill. Those in favor say and the contrary nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 10.
I put a question that clause 10 stands part of the bill. Those in favor say and the contrary nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 11.
I put a question that clause 11 stands part of the bill. Those in favor say and the contrary nay. The ayes have it.
Title.
I put a question that the title stands part of the bill. Those in favor say and the contrary nay. The ayes have it.
Motion for resumption of the House.
Madam Chair, I beg to move a motion that the House do resume and the Committee of the whole House reports thereto.
I put a question that the House resumes and the Committee of the whole House resumes thereto. Those in favor say and the contrary nay. The ayes have it.
Report of the Committee of the whole House.
Honorable Minister.
Right Honorable Speaker, I beg to report that the Committee of the whole House has considered the bill entitled the Foreign Exchange Amendment Bill 2023 and passed it with no amendments.
Thank you.
Motion for adoption of the report of the Committee of the whole House.
Honorable Minister.
Madam Speaker, I beg to move a motion that the report from the Committee of the whole House be adopted.
I put a question that the House adopts the report of the Committee of the whole House. Those in favor say and the contrary nay. The ayes have it.
Bill's third reading, the Foreign Exchange Amendment Bill 2023.
Honorable Minister.
Right Honorable Speaker and honorable colleagues, I beg to move that the Foreign Exchange Amendment Bill 2023 be read for the third time and do pass.
I put a question that the Foreign Exchange Amendment Bill 2023 be read a third time and do pass. Those in favor say and the contrary nay. The ayes have it.
A bill for an act titled the Foreign Exchange Amendment Act 2023.
Bill passed and title settled. Can I hear from Honorable Chivu? Where is he? Haji, come and speak.
Right Honorable Speaker, we thank you for this opportunity. Right Honorable Speaker, I have just a small word. One, first of all, I think, I represent a constituency which is called the Mecca of Islam in Uganda. Butambala is the Mecca of Muslims in Uganda. And Chibuli is the headquarter. It's Medina something.
Why are you removing Old Kampala?
No, Old Kampala is the headquarter. Let me not go through those issues. Those are stone issues, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, would like thank government for considering this product. In our humble way, it has been long overdue. Secondly, our humble view is to appeal to allay the fears of the broader society in Uganda. We know the back and forth of so many centers of power that may feel a level of discomfort with Islamic banking. Islamic banking is not for Muslims. It will go to the poorest, the poor of our community, and it will help people irrespective of their religious background. Therefore, we want to appeal to those powerful centers to give it a chance, to give it an opportunity to thrive, because it will address a key gap in access to affordable, cheap sources of financing business in this country. Even when you go to microfinance, when you even go to Myoga, the interest is still 15%, 11%. It's still very expensive money. World over, capital is around 3%, 4%, 2%. Our people can't compete at a global level if we are still charging interest of 19, 20 plus. Therefore, Islamic financing, and we are speaking to the powers that I know, and I'm making a humble appeal to give this product a chance to thrive in this market. It will help the poorest of the poor. It will help our country grow. I beg to thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you so much. And of course, competition is healthy.
Right Honorable Speaker, I want to thank you. And on behalf of the Muslim Parliamentary Caucus, where Right Honorable Speaker, you are an associate member, we want to thank you so much for guiding this House to this historical piece of legislation. And I want to, in a special way, thank the committee, Minister for Finance, my brother, the learned Attorney General. We have had a very fruitful discussions, but as I said, all for the good of the country. And Right Honorable Speaker, just to emphasize, Islamic banking is not intended to Islamize this country. In any case, our constitution is very clear. We are a secular country. I say so because of the fears and worries we have, even including you, Right Honorable Speaker, which I am privy to. So we want to, and I have made this point before, that Islamic banking is for everybody.
Honorable, now may want to seek for a clarification.
Oh, okay.
Thank you so much. And I also would like to appreciate our brothers, one from the making of Muslims in Butambara and our leader here. I just want to clear my mind about the Sharia law, because it is always connected to this. And I think even the people who were fearing to bring this was fearing that Sharia law. Can you shed some light on this Sharia law?
Honorable members, we'll have a session. I'm going to organize for a session for people to understand the operation of this, such that when you go to the constituencies, you're able to explain ably. So let's have a session, finance, arrange for a session. Yes.
Right Honorable Speaker, when I was thanking you as an associate member of the Muslim Parliamentary Caucus, you were busy somewhere, but let it go on record that you presided over Parliament that passed a law that introduced Islamic banking and financing. Let
Yes.
it go on record.
Yes,
Right Honorable Speaker.
I'm an associate member. My husband is a Muslim.
Yes.
And I'm a Catholic.
Yes, you are an associate member and a proud one, by the way, a proud one. Right Honorable Speaker, finally is again to give information. When the world was facing economic depression, some of the countries that survived this economic depression, like Malaysia, Indonesia, and others, are countries that have inculcated aspects of Islamic banking in their economies. So it's important that we are comforted. And finally, Right Honorable Speaker, as other countries are threatening to cut aid with this kind of system,
we are able to accommodate the shocks that may easily be caused by aid aid cuts by these people who want us to use wrong addresses in our country. I thank you.
Let me hear from Lop, then Chairman and Finance.
Thank you, Madam.
Honorable Mpuga, Matthias, you're most welcome. We missed you.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I also want to thank you, Madam Speaker. I was here and the Muslims, when you get out of here, try to call Honorable Latif Sebagala. Madam Speaker, I remember when he was always sitting in that corner, he was fighting hard about the Islamic banking. And of course, with I'm just making a comment and I'm about to conclude. So we want to thank you. The only prayer we make is the usual one we made before, that after, kindly, don't bring it back. We have made enough consultations. Madam Speaker sat here, you went behind, and everything has gone well.
Thank you.
So our prayer is to see the president assent and this law becomes effective as the honorable member stated.
Thank
Madam.
you. And for me, my special thanks really go to government for bringing this law timely. Yes, Chair. Chair.
Right, Honorable
Professor,
Speaker.
first do it.
Thank you so much. I would like to take this opportunity to thank you and the honorable colleagues and my Minister for Finance, but most especially the members of the Finance Committee. Right, Honorable Speaker, for me as the leader of this team, as the chairperson, these were our maiden reports and in a record time. So I wouldn't fail to underscore the performance of the team of the Finance Committee, having reported as required by you, the Right Honorable Speaker. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, members of the committee.
Thank you so much. I require, you showed that you can perform very well. So I want the income tax amendment bill on Thursday in the House. And then the tax procedures should be brought to the House next Thursday. And all the regulations that are with you. Thank you.
Item 6.
Let the minister first.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for the opportunity. Let me start by thanking you for having processed these bills in the record time of less than 2 weeks. I want to take this opportunity to congratulate the chairperson of the Finance Committee for his maiden assignment. I've been telling him that in the Finance Committee, you come there to work, and whenever you are called upon, you must work. He has proved that he's up to the task, and I want to really congratulate him and the colleagues for this. Madam Speaker, I want to thank the Attorney General. His participation in these bills makes our life easy at Ministry of Finance.
Thank you.
And you can see how he really stepped in to really help us. I want to thank government led by His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. He's the man behind all this we do, and is the one who has been pushing us to regularize Islamic banking. I really want to thank him and the Prime Minister, of course, Majegere, for her able leadership, and all our cabinet colleagues who are here, particularly my colleague from the ministry, Honorable Anite, whom we sit with in the top management to discuss these things. Madam Chair, I cannot fail to thank my counterpart, the Shadow Minister of Finance, and the leader of opposition for their support always. I know we normally start with a lot of back and forth, but we eventually harmonize for the good of this country. I want to really thank you so much.
Thank you so much, honorable members, and thank you for this so many bills. I want to thank government for bringing the Islamic banking law timely. Since we passed for MDIs, it was necessary to have the Financial Institutions Act or bill in place. And I want to thank, I must apologize, I must have over-harassed you, the chair, but that was baptism by fire. And that committee is not is a committee. And as I've said, I want the remaining bills on Thursday on the floor. And Attorney General, you will always remain my best. You will always remain my best. Nobody will change it. And Honorable Chivumbi, thank you for putting a very spirited fight with Imam. You've done a good job, Imam. I'm always humble. Members of Parliament, thanks for being in the House, and you know very well the issue is on the quorum. Majegere, quorum. And thank you for coming. Next item.
Item 6.
Thank you, Right Honor. I'm raising on Rule 78, subsection 7, point of privilege.
Professor.
Madam Speaker, as we embrace Islamic banking, which take care of issues of interest and exploitation, many consumers in this country are complaining on how telecom companies are cheating them on issues of expired bundles, issues of callback tune payments to artists. They are even raising a question, who is benefiting from mobile money for the deceased? Madam Speaker, it would be of interest to the country.
Honorable member, that is a very urgent matter of public concern. It's not of privilege. So you can bring it as a substantial matter. Bring it as a substantial matter. It is a very serious issue.
So, Madam Speaker,
It is a very serious issue. Bring it, and then we refer it to the Committee of ICT. We handle it very well. Yeah.
Item 6, statement by the Right Honorable Prime Minister on government business for the succeeding week, pursuant to Rule 28 of the Rules of Procedure.
Thank you so much, Honorable Prime Minister.
Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, I move under Rule 28 of our Rules of Procedure that requires me to make a statement in the House regarding business of the succeeding week. Honorable Speaker and colleagues, I therefore submit the following business for the week of 4th to 6th July 2023. The Animal Feed Bill 2022, and then we shall have a motion to thank His Excellency the President of the Republic of Uganda for the clear exposition of the government policy contained in the State of the Nation address to the Parliament of Uganda on Wednesday, 7th June this year. Right Honorable Speaker, I beg to submit.
Thank you. We'll have one item. So I'm adding another item. Income, the Income Tax Amendment Bill, and then the Tax Procedures Code. And then we'll have the narcotics. We need them in the House next week. Next.
Item 7, Prime Minister's time.
Prime Minister, under Rule 41.
Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, the number of questions that came from members, and allow me to go straight to these questions and responses. The Honorable Mbwate Kamwa, Gaffa, Member of Parliament, Igala West. He said that there are allegations of substitution of some rural schools that were earmarked for government funding in the budget of the year 2022-2023 with other more privileged schools. And his prayer is, can the Prime Minister clarify on this matter? That Honorable Speaker, my response is that we appreciate the concern raised about the placement of rural schools that were earmarked for funding with more privileged ones. The ministry, that Honorable Speaker, has a clear criterion against which requests for granting a school are measured, including: one, the school should be licensed or registered by the Ministry of Education and Sports. Then two, there should be a council resolution approving the takeover of that school by government. Then three, the school should be in a parish if it's a primary existing school, or it should be in a sub-county if it's a secondary school, that sub-county without any existing school. Number four, the school should be able to meet the basic requirements and the minimum standards, including holding a title and having existing infrastructure, qualified teachers, etc. And number six, enrollment and the distance from the existing schools are also taken into account. That Honorable Speaker and colleagues, an inquiry into this matter led us to the conclusion that this allegation was not true. Number two, the Honorable Okot Boniface Henry, the youth representative, Northern Region. He raised a matter on the skewed allocation of opportunities and delayed disbursement of funds to the higher education students financing scheme and the adverse effect it was having on the affected beneficiary students. And his prayer is, can government update the House on this matter? The Honorable Speaker and colleagues, this is my response. It is perceived that the opportunities in the students' financing scheme is skewed in terms of regions and gender. This is not true, since the allocations are a result of applications for opportunities. That Honorable Speaker and colleagues, some underrepresented regions or districts also have very small numbers of applicants, while others have no applicants at all. As a whole, the outcome remains small. The mostly affected places include the West Nile sub-region, the Greater North and Karamoja regions, together with the islands of Karangala and Buvuma. Honorable Speaker and colleagues, the affirmative action has been put in place to carry out further and intensive sensitizations on the students' financing scheme opportunities in order to attract more applicants for all regions in the country. On gender, Honorable Speaker, the scheme has a strong affirmative policy practice that ensures that girls get additional points to qualify for funding, much as the scheme attracts fewer girls in the field of science, where the scheme is mostly funding the applicants. The Honorable Speaker and colleagues, the delayed disbursement of funds to the higher education students financing scheme was occasioned by the budget cuts in the financial year 2021-2022 because of COVID-19, whereby out of a total budget of 29.752 billion, only 15.2 billion was realized, creating a shortfall of 14.5 billion. However, this issue of delays in releases is being addressed together with the Ministry of Finance. Number 3, Honorable Komakech Christopher, Member of Parliament, Aru County. He raised a matter concerning the proposal for redesigning of the national identity cards to have the future of an individual's contact or email and the ministry's plan to improve an identity card accessibility. And his prayer is that what's the ministry's plan to improve on the accessibility of the national identity card and its position on the proposal. Not Honorable Speaker, my response is that a proposal that seeks to improve the functionality and the accessibility of the national identity cards is commendable. National identity cards play a crucial role in establishing and verifying the identity of individuals, and enhancing their futures can help to make them more effective in achieving these goals. That Honorable Speaker, regarding the inclusion of an individual's contact or email on the national identification card, there could be potential benefits of this feature, such as individuals could easily be traceable in a case of lost cards. However, it is also important to consider the flip side of it. For example, the potential security risks, personal data privacy, and the legal concerns that could arise from including such sensitive personal information on the cards without the individual's consent. There is also the risk of enabling wrong elements to have instant access to an individual or masquerading as an individual upon the loss of a card. But Honorable Speaker and colleagues, telephone numbers are now used for bank authentication, email and email verification. This move would give easy access to an individual's finances and aid fraudulent financial transactions due to these risks, as well as the ever-changing telephone and electronic addresses of individuals, coupled with the legal requirement for consent regarding availability of privacy personal data. These features went omitted in the designing of the new national ID. Honorable Speaker and colleagues, regarding the issue of access, NIRA has come up with the following plans to improve on identity card accessibility. 1, the mass enrollment and mass renewal exercise targeting about 17.2 million citizens is due to start in the financial year 2023-2024 at parish level throughout the country. So Ugandans are advised to take advantage. Number two, simplification of the registration process and improvement of the online portal. The current process is complex and time-consuming due to the use of obsolete technology and equipment. The system overhaul will make the system user-friendly by simplifying the process. It is anticipated that the traffic to registration centers will be greatly reduced. The number of district offices around the country increased. The newly created districts where there was no physical NIRA presence will be created for. Number four, the mobile registration outreaches will be able to cater for the vulnerable, incapacitated, elderly, and people with disabilities in many remote zones to bring services to all the people of Uganda. Honorable Speaker and colleagues, I have hope that this adequately clarifies the matter to the honorable member and the whole House. Question number 4 from Honorable Akugizibwe Ali Ronald, Member of Parliament, Bururi County, Masindi District. On the dismal performance in the primary living examination of learners with special needs, stating that out of 263 that had sat the exams, none had passed in Division 1. In contravention of Article 35 of the Constitution, not enough attention had been accorded to the learners with special needs to ensure that they realized their full mental and physical potential. His prayer is that can the Prime Minister update the House on the academic performance of learners with special needs? Honorable Speaker, my response is that government acknowledges the dismal performance exhibited by learners with special needs at the primary living examination level. Honorable Speaker, the challenges affecting the subsector relate to funding cuts, which continue to have an adverse effect on delivery of education at all levels. Crucial activities, including recruitment and supervision, cannot be fully executed. Remember the cuts that came because of COVID-19. On a positive note, Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, the inclusive education policy has reached advanced stages. Once approved by Cabinet, we are optimistic that a number of challenges in the subsector will be addressed. Question number 5 from Honorable Ronald Nsubuga Balimwezo, Member of Parliament, Nakawa East. He raised the matter of concern on the prolonged learning hours which our pupils are subjected to, including having to report to and from school long before dawn and late after it's dark, which is both dangerous and outside the official school hours of 8:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. His prayer is, can the Right Honorable Prime Minister update the House how this matter has been addressed? My response, Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, is that Government of Uganda, through the Ministry of Education and Sports, issues the school timetable for all primary schools to follow. Accordingly, primary schools open at 8:30 a.m. and close at 5 p.m. It is therefore irregular for schools to offer lessons to learners before and after the official working hours, unless special permission is granted by the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Education. Right, Honorable Speaker and colleagues, government through the Directorate of Education Standards and local government inspectorate, who are mandated to ensure that standards are adhered to, will communicate to primary schools and also take disciplinary action against errant schools. Question number 6. From Honorable Ndezi Alex, Member of Parliament representing persons with disability. He says that, like Honorable Prime Minister, there is need for an update on the status of the Mbale School of Deaf. His prayer is, can the Right Honorable Prime Minister update the House on the status of management affairs at Mbale School of the Deaf? My response, Right Honorable Speaker, is that Uganda runs 3 types of schools supporting learners with special education needs, and these include the special schools, that is learners with specific disabilities. For example, Untinda School for the Deaf, integrated schools, units attached to the mainstream. Then we have number 3, inclusive schools. This has learners with disabilities and those without shared facilities under the same teacher. Honorable Speaker and honorable colleagues, Mbale School for Deaf, which is experiencing a number of challenges, is among those designated schools. While the school was set up to provide access to quality secondary education for the deaf and other less privileged individuals for improved literacy levels, employment opportunities, poverty eradication, and self-reliance. However, the challenge it is facing have rendered the delivery of this noble agenda challenged. In a bid to find a lasting solution to the various persistent concerns, the Ministry of Education and Sports has undertaken several stakeholder engagements, the latest being a meeting held on 12th April this year. The meeting was chaired by the Permanent Secretary, Minister of Education and Sports, and attended by the woman member of Parliament in Mbale District, the member of Parliament representing persons with disabilities, the Executive Director of Uganda National Association of the Disabled, the Executive Secretary of the National Council for People with Disabilities, officials from Mbale District Local Government, that is the Resident District Commissioner, the District Chairman, the Chief Administrative Officer, the District Education Officer, the Chairman Board of Governors, and District Inspector of Schools, and the Head Teacher, the Commissioner for Disability and Elderly of the Ministry of Gender, Labor, and Social Development. Right Honorable Speaker, arising out of the deliberations of the meeting, the following recommendations were adopted. 1, that the minister should transfer the current head teacher and replace him with a suitable and experienced head teacher in both vocational and secondary education. 2, that the ministry should consider a cross transfer of deaf teachers who have overstayed in Mbale School for the Deaf to Wakiso School for the Deaf. The ministry is to work on a phase out plan of ordinary learners. In the interim, the school management should not admit ordinary learners. Parents and learners shall be guided and advised to join other nearby secondary schools. The ministry should transfer the 4 UPDF engineering brigade officers who were appointed by the ministry by the Education Service Commission as instructors to other technical institutions. That the ministry should expedite the recruitment of more sign language interpreters to support the teaching and learning process at the institution. That the current board should not be disbanded on grounds of lack of. I think there is a mistake. The current board should be disbanded on grounds of lack of representation of people with disabilities, special needs education department should issue a circular to guide the special needs and inclusive schools on the constitution of their board of governors in order to have a representative of people with disabilities. The school administration should always report to the government secondary education department, considering the district special services offered at Mbale School for the Deaf. The two departments of special needs education and technical vocational education training operations and management should provide supportive services to the school. The ministry should review current categorization of the school and formulate an appropriate structure for provision of both secondary education and vocational training, whose enrollment is drastically increasing. And then the district and the ministry officials should refrain from fueling and involving themselves in trivial school conflicts. Right, Honorable Speaker and colleagues, this is the update on the concerns raised about the management of Mbale School of the Deaf. We remain confident that once these resolutions are fully implemented, Mbale School of the Deaf will be in a position to continue its important mandate of imparting knowledge to our special needs children. Right, Honorable Speaker and colleagues, I beg to submit.
Thank you so much, Prime Minister, for the submission. Look, you speak last. If you want to make a reply to what the minister has spoken, then do it.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The Prime Minister should address herself to our rules. But I want to thank the Prime Minister very much and Madam Speaker for giving me this opportunity. And I don't know how it happened that my boss gave me this job, yet the matters coming are dealing with education, where I'm so interested and attached. Madam Speaker, with the issue number one, the best answer from the Prime Minister is one. Is the government still able to take up these schools? Because these people are willing. Are you willing to take up primary schools and secondary schools on government aiding? Because the challenges we have and the matter that was raised here, people want to give in these schools. I even have them in my constituency. But can you still take them? If so, that's the best answer you should give this House. Because, Madam Speaker, the Prime Minister is being disturbed by my line minister, and I know why he's sitting next to me. He thinks that I'm going to spit fire, but I'm going to give friendly information. What is interesting, Madam Speaker, is that there are districts and the areas in Uganda where there are no schools, but maybe religiously founded schools, Catholic, Protestant, Islamic have these schools, but they have failed to manage them because of the economy. And they wish them to be taken up by government. So the answer we need, Madam Prime Minister, as I respond to these issues, is the government still having the capacity? If you have no money, then you come to Parliament and you get that kind of money that can allow you get these schools. Because even those you take and you fail to run them as they remain running as they used to be is a challenge. And when these schools are taken, It means even teachers within those schools must be put into government and they must get money and salaries from government. Second, Madam Speaker, the issue of the loan scheme. It is so painful. We made this law here. And before we made this law, we first made benchmarking in Kenya, Tanzania, and Kenya. These students who are taking these loans, they take them purposely to study because they have no money. But after completing their courses, they are mandated to pay back. But it's very, very painful to come before this August House, Madam Speaker, and you hear that there is cutting of funds for the higher loan scheme. At one time, we requested that all the funds to be put into this pool, even those from State House funding, those who are given State House scholarship, all the money should go for the loan scheme. The issue of students from different districts, actually there are districts in Uganda where there is no A-level. There are some districts where, I think West Nile, Northern Uganda, where you find that there is no A-level class in some of them. How do you place them? Because some districts are very smart children. They are taken those districts where there is poor performance and there's no A-level. They register themselves from there and they end up succeeding.
Which school doesn't have A-level? I want you to be specific. Say in district A, B, C, D. Let's talk with the facts.
Madam Speaker, I'm going to give it, and I will give them because I've been in the Committee of Education also.
No, maybe has the yes, Okot.
Thank you for giving way certain information. Gulu district, before then, there was very many A-level schools, but currently, as they have subdivided, the city has its own status. Gulu district doesn't have government aided school which is in the A-level status. There's only one private school that has A-level in Gulu district.
But you're saying Gulu district as it was before it became a city. Let's avoid those things of city district. Let's first look at it in a general, the principle that we had, the schools have A-level. Me, I just want to know a district which does not have A-level so that we work on it.
Madam Speaker, if records provide well, and I will do it, the area I come from, Kalungu West, even my Committee of Education, they are aware, I normally don't fight for getting schools there because I have good schools. But my always battle goes to areas like Amudat, Queen, and others. But the right time, Madam Speaker, I will provide information for that. And normally, you know, I've seen whenever I ask for that information, I bring it. But
so
Madam
can
Speaker,
you bring for us that information?
I will bring it, Madam Speaker.
Substantiate.
Leader of opposition today will bring it, Madam Speaker.
When you bring the
Madam Speaker.
Listen, the leader of opposition respects the chair. When I am saying we need to substantiate whatever we say, evidence-based debate. If you're saying, and these are very serious matters. If there is a district without a school without A-level, then which kind of government are we in? That's what we need to solve this. We are a people-centered parliament, and we need all this information. You're bringing very good information, but half-baked.
Madam Speaker.
No, Minister, you'll come and respond. But what I'm saying, the issue that you're raising should not be there because you don't have the evidence. Bring the evidence and tell us in Bukedea, the schools do not have A-level.
Madam Speaker, I am repeating.
And school A, B, C, D.
Madam Speaker, as obliged, I will give that information. But let me conclude with my, as you have accepted me to respond, I will bring that information.
I'll be glad to receive your information.
Thank you very much. Madam Speaker, I want to talk about national IDs. I want to thank the Prime Minister. Her response is very good. But I think what we need as government, and we should copy from Rwanda, when you make a national ID, we give you all the information. What is required and what is giving us challenges now is that our IDs, wherever we go, whether you go to Airtel company or to any ministry, there's no way you can fix this card to read your biodata. I think that's what the member wanted. Let us get a system that this ID, even if I'm going to board at the airport, they want to find out my information, it can be read and it will produce whatever you want against me. But Madam Speaker, the Prime Minister is becoming very difficult. He's overthrowing your powers, and she's a senior member here. I pray that he gives. Lastly, Madam Speaker.
Honorable members, decorum.
Yeah. Lastly, Madam Speaker, on the issue of PLE. Yes, what is making special needs students perform poorly? We need to address that. If it deals with the brailles, are they provided? Do they get the necessary equipment that require them to do these exams? And Madam Speaker, in our rural districts, still, there are many children who sit PLE, but because of limited funding, they are registered as normal children, but in actual sense, they are not, they are special needs children. The minister should take a keen interest in giving attention to these special needs children, that they are registered, and when they are given PLE exams, they are different, or they are given time to do their exams. But the child is of special needs, but is sitting exams for 2 hours as a normal child, because there is no proper system that is put in place in Ministry of Education that caters for these children. You only find it at O level, at secondary level. And
I thought there was a special needs department in education.
yes, but Madam Speaker, what I'm saying
I am
is,
not allowing, also Prime Minister, don't make my seat look funny. I am not allowing, that's why I'm responding. Can I hear from the minister?
First of all, Madam Speaker, thank you so much for allowing me the opportunity. And I really want to interest my brother and senior colleague, Honorable Seungu, who has been in Parliament the same time as me. And more so, he has been in the same Committee of Education, I think the same time as me, to understand the following. In the Ministry of Education and Sports, number one, we have special needs department and even a commissioner in charge special needs. So as far as matters of special needs are concerned, we take it as a matter of priority in as far as learning of our children with disability is concerned. We do acknowledge, like the Prime Minister said in her statement, we have challenges of the budget cuts. These challenges are not exceptional of the Ministry of Education and Sports. And most times when we're given little money, we try to plan within what is available to try to make our education system move forward. The other thing, Madam Speaker, I want again to raise here, I really want to challenge my colleague. Maybe for the record, let me bring the statement to show the country, because it's alleging that there are districts in this country without A-level schools. I want to say this. We have government-aided and private-aided schools in the country, all over the country. So if there's a district, maybe there's no government A-level school, there might be a government-aided private school. So that still qualifies that there's a government, there's an A-level school in that specific what? District. Then the other one is the policy of government. For instance, you've mentioned here, the policy of government is that we must have a primary school per parish. Where there's a primary school of government in a parish, we do not expect government to take on another primary school. Secondly, there's a policy of government, a secondary school per sub-county. Where there's a government secondary school per sub-county, friends, we do not expect government to take on another secondary school in that specific area, because there are areas where they are not there. So as of now, our planning is to ensure that those parishes, those sub-counties without primary school and secondary schools get them before we begin thinking of taking on others when the other ones don't have. So I want to call upon you colleagues that please support the government's initiative to have a primary school per parish, to have a secondary school per sub-county, and to have at least a technical school per district. That is the planning of the Ministry of Education and Sport and government. I thank you.
You cannot have two secondary schools, government-aided schools in one sub-county. The problem is some of us are conflicted. Some of us are conflicted. We have schools. We want government to take over our schools, and yet there's already a government school there. Let's go by government government policy on that. Honorable Baka Stephen. I have given you too much time.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you for accepting LOP. I want to thank Honorable Peter Gwang. Actually, he has helped me to answer some of the issues you were asking me and doing very well. Still, I'm insisting, when you talk about limited funding.
No, Honorable Gwang is going to bring a report. I also want yours.
Definitely, I
want your report which shows which district does not have A-level schools.
Yes, and I'm serious. Madam Speaker, lastly, I'm talking about Mbali, School of the Deaf. I want to sum up everything with one statement. The challenges you are facing, whether you are taking this teacher somewhere and you are bringing another one, you are taking problems, you are transferring problems to another school. But the issue, Madam Speaker, is inspection of schools. Without funding of inspection of schools, we shall get more problems. We shall see a lot of challenges. Even what is talking about special needs is the same, but is complaining about money. This parliament allocates money. So if money is given to you and you don't fund the inspection of schools, you shall have, and I'm so happy that the Honorable Prime Minister, thank you for all these responses you have given. What I'm giving is in good faith. It's not in bad faith, because we are looking at the improvement of education. If it's about money, we address this matter as Parliament and Budget Committee, and the Speaker will give us room to get this money. Otherwise, you will not solve problems of schools, teachers misbehaving by transferring them. You will be transferring problems to other
But I
schools.
think also
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
what you're saying, the issue of transferring, we are recycling problems.
Very much, Madam Speaker.
If the head teacher is bad, let him go. Yes. Why are we recycling problems? You're bringing from Bale to Wakiso. Now Wakiso is going to make a mistake tomorrow. Let these people go. They will recruit more people who have the same qualification.
And Madam Speaker, the Ministry of Education has even that department which deals with the discipline, and they know those rules as they move. That's why I saw Nawakabrin is happy looking at me here, because we work together. But thank you very much, Madam Speaker.
Stephen.
Thanks very much, Right Honorable Speaker. I'm called Charles Baker.
Charles Baker.
Yes. Right Honorable Speaker, I want to thank the Prime Minister for the response she has made. And I looked at the Rule 41, 8B. With your permission, Right Honorable Prime Minister, to also to air some oral question to you, which I think are of great importance.
Please do.
Thank you. Right Honorable Speaker, I don't know if the Right Honorable Prime Minister, the leader of government business, is aware that our farmers, particularly in the dairy industry, are getting frustrated. Some are almost giving up because of that bauxite company, which is soon closing, because our farmers have been denied export license to take milk in Kenya, and yet we export 75% of our milk in Kenya. And this has resulted, as we talk now, that the workers have been given the warning to be raid on the streets by the beginning of July, because the company has nothing to give them, and the company is already complaining. It has made a lot of losses in milk going bad because it can't be exported to Kenya. And yet we talk about food security in East Africa, and we expect that we are supposed to work as one in East Africa. Right Honorable Prime Minister, could you, if you are aware, tell us what government is bringing up as mitigations to save these workers who are going to be on the streets, to save the company Brookside that is going to close, and also to save the farmers that have invested a lot in their cows?
Thank you.
Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, the reason we are expanding the East African community is exactly to market our products. We are also talking in terms of the Pan-African free trade area. And recently the president was in Algeria looking for market. And so this is short-lived. If we have issues with our neighbors in Kenya, our milk will go to other countries like DRC the other time, South Africa, and many others. Honorable Speaker, I have the Minister of Trade here. I don't know whether she has a concrete answer to this.
Thank you so much, Right Prime Minister, for the opportunity. Thank you, Madam Speaker. And I would like to thank the member for raising this question. It has been raised by very many people. All right, Speaker, the issue of Brookside and the Pearl Diaries and other companies has been very, very critical. But since the change of government of Kenya, we've gone into negotiations to settle the milk industry. And as we speak now, Pearl Diaries has settled. Now, Brookside has gotten a little challenge, and we say we are not only looking at one market. Our government, our Ministry of Trade, Industry and Cooperatives last week was in Kenya to discuss with the Ministry of Trade, Industry and Cooperatives of the other side. And the two heads of states have also discussed. A conclusion is going to be reached, but this is temporary. We have opened up markets widely under the African Continental Free Trade Area, where we've moved together with our team from Ministry of Agriculture under the DDA to solicit for markets for our milk and dairy products and other dairy products. The countries of Algeria, the countries of Serbia, and other countries of are very many. If you could allow me, I would bring a whole list of countries which are interested in our milk because they have tested and they accepted the quality of the milk that we have. And I want to tell you the quantities that we have been given to supply, we may not even have because they want as much milk, many tons as possible. So this is temporary. Time will come, we shall give you a concrete report.
Maybe you could also interest yourself on the staff that are being laid off. Could interest yourself. I equally have a petition to that effect from the Brookside. You could interest yourself. Margaret.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I wanted the Minister of Trade to clarify more about the market of the milk. When they are talking about milk, honorable colleagues, we are not talking about something that you can keep in a store. This is not beans or maize that we can keep for 6 months or a year. We've been hearing about this market in Algeria since the year began. Milk goes bad every day. I come from a district that produces milk, and our farmers are suffering with milk. I want the Honorable Minister to tell us when this milk is going to be exported, other than telling us that the market is being negotiated every time we ask about the market of the milk. I thank you.
Thank you so much. And thank you, my sister from Mumbarara. It's good we've been together in many forums of which are discussing milk. And you know it very well that it is of recent that we went with the president to Algeria. And the government of Algeria is not like the government of Uganda. For them, they don't work with the private sector. They work government to government. And they are working in collaboration with the Uganda National Chambers of Commerce, which has been given a chance to identify companies that can serve. We have around 3-4 companies, including Amos Dairies, Pearl Dairies, and other dairies, which have already given consignments. They have already written expression of interest, and they have already sent the amount of milk that they can supply. And this is not only in liquid form. We are encouraging people to add value addition on everything. Because, Madam Speaker, the challenge that we have with the perishables is that we don't have cold facilities to keep our milk fresh, our vegetables fresh, our fruits fresh, we still have that gap of a storage. But we are doing the best to make sure that as Minister of Industry and Cooperatives, we industrialize, we dry this milk, because we cannot take it in its freshness and it reaches. And I want to thank the President. He has really put a concerted effort to make sure that at least in every parish or wherever, all those countries, all those, districts that have milk, have cold, these coolers, yes, milk coolers, yes. And these milk coolers are doing very well. It was his initiative. He has supplied them up to the parish level. So we want to thank him for sure. As we think about bringing them the whole milk to the factory, at least there is a beginning, a starting point. So we are good to go, and let's join hands. This is not a one ministry's work. It is agriculture. It is everybody, science and technology, and you members. Bring ideas, we shall consolidate them. Thank you.
Thank you, Ethel.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, over the weekend, I was meeting my people in Chitezi, particularly in Lusanja. And Right Honorable Speaker, as you are aware, in Chitezi, it's where we are having the garbage point of Kasese and the surrounding areas. And of recent, we are seeing this area becoming a very place in which is capable, which is so much exposed. Our people there, their health is really in very bad condition as far as the environment is concerned. And over the last few months, there has been improper waste management by Kampala City Authority. And each time Kasese dumps waste there, it's mandated to cover. We are also seeing the area currently infested with stray dogs, together with several of these marble stocks, commonly known as Karoli. And given the stench, the people of Chitezi are affected. So my question to the Prime Minister, Right Honorable, is when are we going to have this place decommissioned such that our people are in a better state? And also, we wish to know, when can we have a plan entirely to ensure that the landfill has its stench disappearing in order to ensure a good health of our people around there as far as public health is concerned? And finally, when is Kampala Capital City Authority planning to have a comprehensive plan so that we have the technology in place, like the way in other modified countries, other modified ways, to use that biogas which comes out of the garbage in it, and also ensure that at least charcoal briquettes are made out of it? Can we know that? Thank you.
Prime Minister.
Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, her question is very important. And so I request that you give me time. We'll write that question so that we come with a comprehensive answer for the people of Chitezi. Thank you so much.
Actually, they will come with an action that has been taken. Moses, give the question now. No, you in writing. Yes, in writing. Moses.
Yeah, thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I raise a matter of urgent importance. Right Honorable Speaker, yesterday, Wednesday, while many Ugandans were celebrating it, a stray elephant killed one person in my constituency, one Logot Philip in Nakamistai village, Lazam Parish in Loreng Sub-County in Akapipi district. It is believed that this particular elephant strayed from Kidepo and stormed the village early in the morning. After, we contacted the UWA, Uganda Wildlife Authority personnel, to come and put this animal out of action or restrain it from destroying properties, but went wild and amok. Yesterday evening, it had destroyed over 1,000 acres of sorghum crops. And the whole 3 sub-counties in the neighborhood are in panic. In fact, I'd wanted even to go to the constituency, but I was informed that it's difficult to know how this particular animal roams. And the Uganda Wildlife Authority had failed to restrain it. Now, this particular damage is an addition to the already damage done by the hyenas in that very parish sometime back in 2022, where 40 heads of cattle were devoured by hyenas. Now, this damage is definitely going to affect the livelihoods of the people in that particular area. But my prayers is to request Uganda Wildlife Authority to immediately evacuate that animal or put it out of action to avoid more damage to human life and property.
Of course, they cannot put it out of action.
And establish a short-term strategy on the human-animal conflict in the region, in the place. The other is to request you to immediately work out with the affected family and contribute to the burial arrangements and any other costs associated with that particular damage that has been caused to that.
Moses, did you say 1,000 acres by
Yes.
one?
Yes, by one
That's
elephant.
1.5 square miles.
I don't know in square miles, but it's something like.
No, a square mile is 640 acres.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. You know what? We are talking of a sub-county, which is as wide a radius from here up to Mukono. Yes.
And
actually,
first tell me,
Karamoja is a very
how
vast
far?
Yes.
How far is Kidepo from where the incidents took place?
Kidepo is over 500 kilometers from where the incident has taken.
So the animal moved over 500 kilometers and came to.
Yes. Yes. There is actually a corridor along coming from Kidepo and all round up to Amudat that they normally move.
And of course, that takes us back to the issue of fencing off.
Yes.
That really requires that.
So as we
Yes.
speak right now, the whole place is in a state of confusion. People have decided to relocate from the lowlands to the mountain to keep themselves safe. So my last prayer is that the institution mandated with this carries out an immediate assessment of the damage so that the affected persons can be compensated. Thank you, Right Honorable
What
Speaker.
is more urgent now is to have the animal away from the population.
Evacuated.
Yes.
Thank you.
Right Honorable Speaker, I am going to liaise with the Ministry of Tourism, Wildlife and Antiquities to make sure that that animal is removed from the communities. And then two, I'm also going to make sure that the ministry goes down. I believe they have the agriculture officers in the district. They will go and do the assessment. But I want to condole with the bereaved family for the loss of our Ugandan. May his soul rest in eternal peace.
Robert? May Guardian Robert? Binji, is it on the animals also?
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, my issue is not fishing, as the Prime Minister is indicating. But Honorable Prime Minister, Buvuma years back welcomed the government project of growing palm, which was intended to improve the livelihood of the ordinary residents. Many people offered land, landlords and tenants. A number of areas are already planted with palm, before compensating the people. Different complaints have been made right from when the Honorable Amama Mbabazi was still Prime Minister and he visited. And the Prime Minister, is also aware that he also visited Buvuma, in addition to 16 other ministers who have visited over delayed compensation. My question is, aware that people have already volunteered and surrendered this land, when is the government planning to effectively compensate these people so that they can have alternative livelihood somewhere else? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, I am aware of the issue he's talking about, and the government has already verified those people who are affected by the project, and they will definitely be paid. They will next financial year.
Peter? Hey, I'd said Patrick first.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Right Honorable Prime Minister, Chankwanza has been a hotspot for several disasters since August 2022, and all these issues have been duly presented to your wonderful office. The CAO has written to the PS with all the substantive disaster reports. We have also written several disasters, about 6 of them. To date, we have not received relief items. Should the people of Chankwanza have hope, Madam Prime Minister?
Honorable Speaker, some time back we came up with a strategy. There are some areas which are adversely affected, like Karamoja. So we agreed, even here, that we should only struggle to make sure that those people survive. The people of Chankwanzi have food. So we concentrated on those areas which have adverse effects of drought. And we agreed that let us start with Karamoja so that those people don't die. Nobody can die of hunger in Chankwanzi.
Now, members, it is rainy season. I even implore you to go and talk to your constituents to do the planting. It is rainy season now. Court then, Peter.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, on the 15th of May, 2023, His Excellency the President invited all the leadership of people of Acholes region at Baralege Presidential Home, or you can call Presidential Lodge. In that meeting, the discussions was geared towards the insecurity in the area. And it was being aired out in almost all the radio stations in the region, and then also national television. One of the issues that was presented to him was about people who are failing to manage how to feed themselves because of insecurity, and then also about education. Many children are being affected due to the insecurity. His Excellency made either an order or a speech. In his speech, he said all the pupils and students hailing from the affected areas, which Agago is inclusive, due to the insecurity in the area, should go and study in government-aided school free without paying any fees. Now, my question is, how do you implement such a statement Madam, the Right Honorable Prime Minister? And then number two, when will you start implementing such kind of an order of that nature? Because people are now energized, people want to hear, and they're calling us. Many of those even who had been paying some small amount of money as a result of PTA, they are not doing, and teachers who are on PTA contributions, they cannot go and teach at schools. Thank you.
Thank you.
Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, when the president was in Bararege, he gave a number of orders. And one of them was that we provide food for those people who were affected by restaurants. Right Honorable Speaker, I expected him to say thank you because we have provided that food. He also ordered that we provide mabati. Yes, for those people who were affected because some of their houses were burnt. We have got a list, and next week we are sending the mabati to those affected people. Right Honorable Speaker, the Minister of Education is here, and I believe he was present when the president was making those orders to make sure that our children can go to schools freely, because that is the policy of government. So, Honorable Minister, please come and.
First of all, I would like to thank the Right Honorable Prime Minister and Honorable Amos. I want to state this clearly. The President's communications are always followed by letters in writing, because that is a big commitment to the government of the Republic of Uganda. I want to implore a colleague that let me cross-check with my senior minister and find out whether there is a formal communication to that effect. Then, if it is there, Madam Speaker, allow me bring back the statement. I'll bring the statement here in line with the implementation of that presidential directive. I thank you.
Thank you. We'll expect that communication, and an executive order is an executive order. Peter, Milton, Dr. Lulume.
Yeah, thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, for this opportunity. Right Honorable Prime Minister, the government gave the fishing community 6 months to prepare to pay for boat licenses. Currently, as we speak, there is little or no fish in the waters, and most of our boats are not fishing. But the enforcement officers are arresting our people and harassing them for not paying the taxes. Right Honorable Prime Minister, why can't the government give us some, maybe 3 months or 6 months again, for our people to prepare and pay these taxes? Secondly, when you have a motor vehicle and it is not functioning, you remove the number plate and hand it over. Why can't the government give the same leeway to the fishing community to remove the number plates until that time when they will go fishing? Our people are in dire trouble, and actually they even don't have what to eat, but the government is telling them they must pay the taxes. What can the government do to help this disadvantaged
Yeah, the
fishing
same
community?
people who are going to come tomorrow, there are no ambulances in that place. And you know, we only get our money from taxes. I am not answering your question, but I'm just.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. The Honorable Keo is aware that the expiry date was supposed to be in March. Government gave a grace period of 3 months up to June. And now I believe the time is up. Let your people pay and they will operate. That's all I can tell him.
Thank you, Milton.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable
Dr.
Speaker.
Lulume. Hey. So you didn't stand. Okay.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, yesterday, His Excellency the President, through the Right Honorable Prime Minister, slapped a ban on tree cutting in the entire country. 90% of the Ugandans, especially the urban centers, use charcoal as a source of fuel. People in the rural areas bank on firewood, and even private trees cannot be harvested or cut now. People have been investing in tree planting as a source of income generation and livelihood. Now that the slump or the ban took effect yesterday, what alternative sources of energy has government provided to the Ugandans in the entire country? And what will these people who have been surviving on tree farming live or survive on? I thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Milton, first of all, how many trees have you planted yourself?
Right Honorable Speaker, I'm a tree farmer in Uganda. I want one weekend request you to pass by. I'm a tree farmer. I have a plantation. I have around.
How many trees have you planted?
I should
Because
talk.
when you do deforestation, you must do afforestation.
Yes.
And you know, that's what is affecting our environment. I am actually happy the president has come out boldly to do that.
Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, I want members to appreciate this ban. Of recent, there has been a number of factories, small factories, Chinese owned, and they are cutting trees indiscriminately. And now people are paid peanuts, and they are exporting these timber raw. They are not adding value, and yet they were given licenses to add value so that they can come up with plywood, they can come up with furniture to export. But they are taking our products raw and importing them out, exporting them out of the country. Those factories are the ones we stopped yesterday. We are saying enough is enough. We are given statistics that every day, each company can cut over 1,000 trees every day. And they are much more centered in the districts of Mubende, Chibale, Kakumiro. Recently, as I was flying over to Mayuge, I saw another one in one of the forests. They are going to finish our forest cover. And so the president directed me to stop that practice. I want to request for members, please support this initiative.
Thank you so much. And Honorable Gilbert, you're doing very well by stopping those people who go and cut trees in Acholi as if they don't have trees in Dr. Lume.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. First and foremost, let me thank the Prime Minister for the statement on stopping tree cutting and doing away with the licenses and permits on forests. Just today in the morning, I had an engagement with my electorate when 50 men had come to descend on yet another forest to cut it down. They were speaking Acholi language. We had to manually stop it.
Now let's not tribalize.
No, I speak Acholi myself.
No. Let's not tribalize. There are men who came to cut the trees.
Accepted, Right Honorable.
You withdraw that. You don't know what they were speaking. How do you know that is Acholi?
I withdraw that.
Okay.
But of course I speak Acholi. Right Honorable Speaker, we had to manually mobilize in order to stop them, but they were being allowed to go down in the forest to cut it down by hope Hope is the regional forest officer in C-sub county. So I thought that maybe they were disobeying the prime minister. And my question is, how do we ensure that the statement of the prime minister is obeyed, given the fact that even when I asked the prime minister to intervene in ensuring that the Ministry of Education completes the multipurpose laboratory in Rueru Senior Secondary School, they disobeyed and she did nothing. How can we be sure that your directives can be obeyed? Thank you very much.
My brother, Right Honorable Speaker and honorable colleagues, the directive came from the president, who is the head of state, who is the commander-in-chief of the armed forces. So mine is to implement that directive. And I am telling you, if they have been joking this time around, it's not going to be easy for them. Honorable colleagues, we are struggling to make sure that our environment is protected. Recently, we used to have 2 rainy seasons in our area. But since when these Chinese came and cut down our forest, we now struggle. This season alone, they have not been able to harvest maize because it started raining in March, and in May, there was no rain. So I think enough is enough. We have to protect our people. We have to protect our lives. Let these people come and add value. And once they add value, they should also plant trees like these other companies. We have 2 companies that I want to commend here. The Nairoply, they have forests now. Let them come and they also plant trees, and then they start harvesting their own forests.
I think what you need to do, Doctor.
The minister did not disobey me. Let me answer this. It is only that time the money had been taken back to the consolidated fund. They are going to recommit that money and they complete that laboratory.
But what I think you need to do is to get the particulars of the person, and the Prime Minister will make a follow-up for disobedience of the executive order. That one provided to the Prime Minister. Akelo Lucy.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Speaker. Right Honorable Prime Minister, are you aware that a stretch between Mijera and Kafu has it's I think a total of about 18 kilometers was cheated by not adding the adequate layer of tarmac, and as a result, that stretch of the road is about to cause or is already causing lots of accidents. And for years, that road has been commissioned. We've not got any plan from government of what it intends to do and make sure that that road and the component which was not done well is done well. So what is the government's plan to ensure that that stretch is actually worked on?
Honorable Akelo Lucy, you're Vice Chairperson of Kasese, the mighty Kasese, and UNRWA is under Kasese. Can you handle that under Kasese? Actually, we are supposed to ask you that what have you done as a committee? That Prime Minister will not answer that one. Can you report back to this house what has Kasese done?
Madam,
Can you get information from UNRWA and report back to this house? Actually, I need your report on Wednesday.
The UNRWA report was,
Thank you, Right Honorable
Madam
Speaker.
Speaker, the UNRWA report was given to this house, and part of that was also.
Was that part of the
Yes,
issues?
yes.
Okay, we shall have action taken
Yes,
reports.
that is why.
Yes,
Because it is the,
let's get action taken reports. We cannot ambush on the Prime Minister at this time when she doesn't even know. That is your work as Kasese. Yes,
Thank you, Right Honorable
Jero.
Speaker. I'm from Lugazi Municipality. I would like to first bring the attention of the Prime Minister that Lugazi Central Division has no secondary school for government. Because the condition.
Lugasi District Central.
No,
what?
because we are supposed to be having a secondary school per division or sub-county. But in Lugazi, we don't have one because the condition of having 5 acres provided by local governments, they cannot afford because land is very expensive. So we don't have a secondary school in Lugazi Central Division.
So
and the other thing is, right, Honorable Speaker.
just a minute. Let's go slowly. You want the Prime Minister to give you the 5 acres? Have you written to the Minister of Education to get a solution to that? And has the Minister of Education failed to respond to you?
Right, Honorable Speaker, I was explaining. And the other condition of saying that a secondary school is supposed to be a sub-county. There are sub-counties, for example, that are bigger than districts in some areas. So, for example,
it still remains a sub-county. Jimmy.
I'm Stephen, Right Honorable Speaker. And the other thing, Right Honorable Speaker, I'd like to bring the attention of Honorable Minister of Education. We talked about the special needs children, Right Honorable Speaker. It's very unfortunate that our children in the so-called special needs school, they are taught in sign languages and the questions are set in English. Those are 2 different things. And second, the other thing, Right Honorable Speaker, in such secondary schools, in such schools.
Now, the schools are they are not so-called.
Right Honorable Speaker, I would like to conclude.
No, what I'm saying, the schools are not so-called. They are.
Yes, Right Honorable Speaker.
It's a matter of English.
Yes. So, Right Honorable Speaker, my question is, for example, we normally had it reach when they are teaching children. But our teachers who are teaching this so hard to teach children, they don't have that facilitation, Right Honorable Speaker. I would like to call upon Right Honorable Speaker, Right Honorable Prime Minister to address that. Otherwise, everywhere we are going to be talking about the poor performance of these children, but many of them have been abandoned by their parents in those schools. And when you reach there, Right Honorable Speaker, there are hard conditions of how to manage them and call upon the Right Honorable Prime Minister to address the issue. Thank you very much.
But you know, one thing that we need to appreciate, managing those children is not easy. And it's a process. It's really a process that even the parents have to be patient enough. So when I don't think we should put too much blame on government for that, but I think government tries. It really tries. Yes, Honorable Aisha.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker.
You cannot say government does not care. You cannot say government does not care. Why would government have a school, first of all? Why would it have, you don't have to respond to me. Why would it have a school, first of all? Why would it train people to take care of those children? Then government would have left those children to be in your homes. Let's let's appreciate once in a while. Give credit where it deserves. Huh?
Thank you, Right.
Let's avoid being negative all the time. Huh? It is not a government wish that these children are the way they are. It's God's wish. But now when you do that, it's very bad. First of all, it's already 5. I am adjourning the house
Given me opportunity.
to 2 on Tuesday.